Let's go.
Hello, very warm welcome to your Tuesday night virtual reality racing club racing for our World Endurance League, running from June and July. And RJN here with you, and Becky Aparicio in the comms box as well. Clark is here, Danaher broadcaster Steve Allen's got things set up nicely for us. How are you, Becky?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to event 3 on the calendar, and Spa's a great track, so we should, I think, see some good racing this evening.
Yeah, we always tend to anyway, but especially around Spa, and then there's been some people that have caught my attention, and especially last race out, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on today, and as well with some of the times that are being set currently in the practice session as well.
Oh, I've not even looked at those yet. It's been a flat out day for me, and I must have only caught up with revisiting last week's results this morning. So quite a few penalties last week, so hopefully everyone's going to behave themselves this week and not give Ian and Rich loads of work to do in terms of contact and stuff like that. Let's have a look at the broadcast calendar coming up. We've got our first double points race next week. I still meant to look to see whether it's whether the double points from that is the same as winning all 3 races like Jack Smith did last week. So I probably need to check my technical regs or whatever Rich sent through. But next week, as you can see, Nurburgring GP, the 60-minute single race, and we're doing that again at Le Mans for round 8, which I think you're joining us for, Becky. And then in between that, we've got the circuit of the Americas, Mount Fuji and Bahrain, and Jack James, I think, joining us next week for the Nurburgring GP round, which is particularly relevant as Jack is a sports car racer, and I think his last race was on the Nurburgring. So really excited to have Jack and his experience. A long driver that I met on the Dragon Sport Scholarship, possibly one of the junior ones as well when he was a wee bit younger, but caught up with him at Brands Hatch at the GT meeting recently, and so great to have him along. And we've got Lydia Walmsley joining us as well, returning as co-commentator as well for one of the rounds. I think that might be the Circuit of the Americas on the 30th of June. But anyway, that's a quick reminder for you about what's coming up over the next few weeks. And these are the drivers they need to be challenging. Jack Smith leading the table at the moment with a 40-point lead over Gabe Norse. Oliver Gibson is in 3rd place, then Kieran Haynes. Lee Piercy in 5th, had a good week last week, did Lee. Ollie Atkins 6th from Chris Blakey. Ollie getting a podium after the judicials last week, so both Ollie and Kieran on the podium last week. Chris Blakey in 7th from Mason Turner and Sam Walton. Christian Gillian completing the top 10. Sam Gumbley is next, and we're getting to the drivers that are going to be at the front of the grid in race number 1. Remember, the top 15 in the championship reverse for race 1. So the top 2 rows, Andy Dorman and Jack Dickerson on row 2, and row 1, bit of a mouth-watering race ahead for Scott Bugner and Andy Carroll. Andy, of course, missed the first event, but snuck in some good results last week, so he's gone from rock bottom in the table up to 15th, and assuming he's here, we'll give him pole position on the grid. Jacob Lander just missing out on pole. He'll be hoping to score some points to get him up into the magic top 15, as will Jack Angel. Rich Hayden in 18th from John Jones, and Zach Hancock's the only driver to ping me any messages last week after my appeal for information. He's a VRRC Mazda MX-5 driver. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about that later on, but thank you for doing that, Zach. Robert Shepherd is next up, and then Josh Brennan, our final point scorer, is Paul Laramie. And Kenny Press, come back, where are you? We need you. The graphic genius, 24th, hasn't had a race yet in this campaign, but we look forward to seeing him very soon indeed. Team Championship, unsurprisingly, DK Power at the top of the standings with over a 100-point lead now over Swift Cooper Black. Shake and Bake 3rd from VRRC, Swift Cooper Blue, Team Carbug Independent 1. Automac Racing next up from Swift Cooper Orange, and that should be an energy drink, I think, Swift Cooper Orange. And then Buck Aqua Racing rounding up our top 10. So we are at Spa this weekend. Before we get to that, this is the roundup of what happened last week with Jack Smith taking 3 race wins. First hat-trick for a while, possibly my first VRRC hat-trick to commentate on. Ollie Gibson second, and Kieran Haynes in third, with Andy Carroll taking the driver of the round accolade. So well done to Andy, and as we said, that does plop him up the points into 15th place. But as previously mentioned, we are at Spa, circuit that I've visited. Never actually seen racing there, but I vaguely remember driving around it when I was much, much younger. And it is a simply fantastic track, which we all know and love today. It's a traditional track, none of your manufactured rubbish here in Belgium. The beer is good in Belgium, the racing is good in Belgium as well. How good? Well, let's have a look at our hot lap. Well, thanks for Jack's hot lap. Cars are on the grid ready for our first race of the evening. Remember the format, 2 longer races and a sprint race with the top scoring drivers from the evening on the front of the grid. And as you can see, we have the 2 regular sort of front runners, if you like, Andy Carroll and Scott Bugler there. Jack Dickerson could do well, so too could Andy Dorman. In fact, really anyone out of the top 10 is capable of a win here. And we're getting very near to the start of the 7th race of the campaign. Is it going to be Andy Carroll or Scott Bugner that makes it down into turn 1? Andy Carroll with 1 round under his belt. Scott Bugner has done 2. The first round not so good for him, and it is Carroll that gets away well. Jack Dickerson has managed to poke his nose on the inside of Scott Bugner. Scott's going to go in the BMW for the burn-up round the outside. We'll see whether he can indeed hang on to second position. We've got some shenanigans going on there, including Lee Pearcey, hard lines for Lee Pearcey. And in fact, it was Bugner that gets into second position, Dickerson third, Sam Gumbley in 4th place from Andy Dorman. Andy already on the attack as well, with Christian Gillian busy having a look at him, and Scott Bugner already on the offensive and challenging for the lead, Becky. I think he's got it.
Yeah, unfortunately, mine's on a little bit of a go slow, obviously, with so much going on in the first part of it. So I think I'm just about catching up to speed. But apart from, like you say, a few sort of turnarounds, I've just gone on to fast forward. So I'm just about catching up with all the action. But it looks like everybody's managed to get up the hill of Rouge and Radion okay. No major offs or anything, as it actually looks like Jack's doing a bit of off-roading in the back there. Jack Smith off on the grass, and looks like he collided with the barrier there, so hopefully he'll not have picked up too much damage, but I have a feeling he might have a fair bit on that BMW now, unfortunately.
Yeah, there was contact with him coming up on the timing screen through the first corner, so that is, every driver will have the odd race where they're not doing too well. And you have to say, with 4 wins in the championship so far, the law of averages says that you're going to get a bad one every now and again. So maybe we're looking at a fresh winner, or maybe not, because Gabe Norse is already up into 5th place if you look at the timing tower, down behind the Andy Dorman car. So Gabe having a very good run indeed, and Gabe busy putting Jack Dickerson under pressure at the moment. But Scott Bugner was recalcitrant off the line, but very quick to recover from that and get in front of Andy Carroll. So Mr. Front Wheel Drive Scott Bugner, maybe he's converted this to front wheel drive in secret over the week, or has a front wheel drive app that he's loaded in. I'm being very flippant, of course, but great driving from Scott to get into the front from Andy Carroll. I'd have probably put my money on those two battling maybe harder than they have done in this one for a little bit longer. And you can see the gaps out to 0.6 of a second as we watch Jack Smith trying to recover. He's already in the top 10. Sam Gumbley will be the next driver that he needs to look out for. Mason Turner, one of the Luke Cooper team drivers. Got to give a shout out while I remember to Luke Cooper, was in the Super Classic Formula Fords. Remember, we run their official esports series, and we've got some exciting news coming up about Formula Ford esports racing in a few weeks' time. Luke Cooper won all 3 races at the weekend in the Super Classic Formula Ford. So this season's proving to be an absolute brilliant one. We've had different winners at each track, but Luke getting a hat-trick, which is superb. And Andy Dorman passes Jack Dickerson, so Dorman up into 4th place as Bugner. Carroll's coming back at him though here. Andy Carroll having a go. Gabe Norse up into 3rd, so Norse already from 14th, and a spin for Andy Dorman. Dorman goes down. I really fancied Andy Dorman for a podium in this one, but he drops down the order, and Gabe Norse, I was making the point, already up into podium position from 14th on the grid. So demon start for him. Jack Smith passes Sam Gumbley. He's up to 7th, but has got some catch-up work to do on Gabe Norse, who's up in 3rd.
Yeah, well, Scott and Andy both had some good moves last week. Unfortunately, Andy didn't come off too well, but Scott was definitely making some moves up the pack. So it was always going to be interesting as I was checking the time in that Andy and Scott were up there with the times in practice to see what challenge they were going to put out. But you've got to remember they are also teammates. So are they going to race hard against each other? Are they going to let each other have a little bit of breathing space? Has anything been discussed beforehand? Probably not. And they'll probably both want the win, especially with Andy missing the first round. He's got a bit of catch up to do, but he definitely, with putting in some decent performances last week, managed to get himself onto pole position for this race. Yeah,
he did. And that was, good after one round, wasn't it? Could have just been 16th, but no, managed to get into 15th position in the championship. Scott Bugner had a pretty rubbish first round as well, so those two reaping the something of a reward or consolation prize for that, as Gabe Norse gets his nose in front for 2nd position, sides his way in the Sim Demon car around the outside of Andy Carroll, goes into 2nd place, and this is Gabe Norse's reaction, if you will, I suppose, to the hat-trick last week from Jack Smith. He really is on a mission here, Gabe Norse. 2nd in the championship, dropped from championship lead after week 1. 3rd place stayed the same. That, of course, Ollie Gibson. Kieran Haynes 4th. Lee Pearcey was 5th. And worth mentioning the top 6, as we saw on the graphic, Ollie Atkins in 6th position, hoping to try and get up into the top 5 in this race as well. But it's Bugner, Norse, Carroll, Atkins. Looking at Jack Dickerson at the moment. Behind Jack is Christian Gillian. Then Sam Gumbley. Jack Smith down behind him as well. And Jack could find the inside run here to make up another place as we see the race leaders, the leading trio, go through. Ollie Atkins in a very strong 4th position at the moment, and Jack Smith going very wide there and overruns, so little mistake from Jack. Straight lines it, but here he's being mindful just to let the others get back in front. That was very well read from Jack. The last thing he wants is a penalty for overcutting corners, and he pops himself back at the back of the group, but yeah, not quite the progress he wanted to make here.
No, this seems to be throwing a bit of a challenge towards Jack this evening. Not quite the start that I wanted, but again, there could be damage on the car that's obviously affecting the handling around certain corners. So I'm sure in the next couple of races he'll make positions. But yeah, Gabe's been flying for this race, so he's right behind Bugner now, hoping to get past him. Bugner actually, I think, did pretty well. I think he was out racing at the weekend as well. I think his clutch went, so if he's on the podium, we'll have to ask him about that. Uploaded a video of him shouting screams of joy as he went over the line after thinking he was probably going to lose it after the last two corners. So yeah, be interesting to see what he's got to say there. As yeah, Gabe looks like he's going to try to go around the outside. Has he got enough pace and enough grip to stick it round there? We'll see, as we've just lost them out of shot, but no, Scott's managing to hold on to the lead at the moment, but Gabe is pushing, and we've only had 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's gone pretty quickly actually, and Gabe Norse has probably gone even quicker, and one feels that it won't be long before he gets in front of Scott, but he's going to put up a fight, is Scott Bugner. Christian Gillian busy chasing Chris Blakey immediately ahead of him. Chris had a relatively front start, but having a good run in 5th, down behind Ollie Atkins, but it's the battle for the lead we're concerned with at the moment. And are we about to see Gabe Norse get in front? He's got the inside run here on this first part of the corner, but that will switch to the outside. Is he going to go for the flick back on the outside now, which is the inside for the next corner? He's got the line. He's going to grab the lead here for sure, but Bugner's still holding on. No, he isn't. He has to tuck back in. So Scott now will see what he has got in return. But yeah, Gabe Norse doing what we thought was going to be, I think, inevitable, but Bugner not giving up, as you would expect, and he's having a go now, and he's going to get back through. Got a race on here. Andy Carroll could come back into the mix as well. Norse hangs on to it, but fair play to Scott Bugner. Now, was there contact there, or did Gabe Norse lose that on his own? He's down to 4th. We'll see what recovery he can do. But, yeah, that one probably, we can't see. We don't get a replay, so we don't know whether there was contact. They were close, but I didn't see, Becky, I didn't see sort of a reaction from the car in front to say that it had been hit, but it might have been a tag. I don't know what you saw.
Yeah, hard angle to gauge what happened there. Nothing's come up on my timing screen either, but whether that's a little bit delayed, and we might get something pop up in a bit. But yeah, there might have been a slight touch, but again, we'll have to let the stewards check back on that before we start speculating. So unfortunate there for Gabe, but he always has good recovery drives as well, so he'll keep pushing on. It's a shame as well, just quickly to say, Kieran Haynes had loaded into the server but then seemed to disconnect, and he was actually leading the practice session, and he had been putting in some good performances in the last 2 races, so I was really excited to see what he had in store tonight. So hopefully he'll join back in for the 2nd and the 3rd race and be able to make up some valuable points there, because he's really been coming into his own in the last few, not only races but rounds as well of VRRC.
Yeah, for sure. He wants to emulate his team boss, doesn't he, Luke Cooper, and grab some wins, well, podiums if not wins, in this one. My timing screen went to sleep, much like viewers do when I'm on commentary, but we've got Ollie Atkins in 4th place now, challenging Andy Carroll, and Scott Bugner still in the lead from Carroll. Ollie Atkins now back in podium form, as he was in race 1 last week after the judicials, and Andy Carroll looks pretty hungry now. Andy, I think, settling into the race quite nicely, and Ollie Atkins chasing him. Gabe Norse still in 4th, but a bit behind. Then it's Chris Blakey and Jack Smith. Probably quite like to see Jack catch him up and have a little bit of a ding-dong with him. That's what we kind of like to see, the top 2 drivers going head-to-head. They do in the start, of course, of the race, but it did look like Jack got caught up in some other machinery off the start, and Gabe Norse managed to weave his way through up into 2nd, but Ollie Atkins passed Andy Carroll up into 2nd place. Do we fancy an Ollie Atkins win here? It could be on the cards. Super stuff from the Swift Cooper driver up into P2 and chasing Scott Bugner. I didn't see this coming. Well done, Ollie. Great stuff. So many drivers that you have to consider over the start of a race. And I was talking about having Smith and Norse racing together. Well, let's put that to one side at the minute because we've got 3 great drivers here all battling it out.
Yeah, Ollie Atkins has been just kind of lurking in the background and he's now making moves. So he's definitely can see that win ahead of him. So I reckon, yeah, it could get quite interesting amongst these 3. And then you've got the pursuing Gabe as well that's trying to close down that gap with Chris Blakey not too far behind either. But I wonder, yeah, what Andy's thoughts are going to be when he's going to make his move to try to get past and then see if the teammates will work together to secure a 1-2 for them. But it's good to see we've got a different car in the mix because it has been very dominated by the BMWs. So it's good to see actually Andy out in the McLaren kind of repping them. So it's good to see a bit of a mix up and see some of the track suiting other cars more than others.
Yeah, it's nice to shake it up a little bit, isn't it? But out front, it's I'll tell you what, yeah, Chris Blakey's closing in, I think, on Gabe Norse. The McLaren dropping back away from these 2 at the moment, and Gabe Norse very, very late on the brakes there. And now we've got a 4-way. There's a little tap there on Andy Carroll. Andy taps someone, and down goes Ollie Atkins down the order. That's a pity for Ollie. Hope he can recover. So it's Carroll now in 2nd position. Gabe Norse back into 3rd, and Chris Blakey has caught them as well. So Blakey getting stuck in. But Gabe Norse, good recovery here from him. Jack Smith now up into 5th place and fastest lap. So I don't think we should be betting against Jack Smith either, apart from the fact that he is a little way behind, but we're not at half distance yet. So if these 3 all engage and potentially slow each other up, could allow Jack Smith to get involved. And somebody kicking up the dust and dirt there as Gabe Norse comes off line and goes up into P2. So Norse now in 2nd position, Andy Carroll 3rd, Chris Blakey in 4th, and Scott Bugner 1.5 seconds ahead, looking to try and extend that. Scott Bugner in his BMW, looking for his first win in the campaign. In fact, looking for his first podium in the campaign, which is very late coming. And, you know, he'll take the fact that he's started off the front in this reverse grid race. But we know he's got the speed, but has he got the speed to fend off Gabe Norse once again? That remains to be seen. Quick look down the order at who might be on pole for race 2. And at the moment, it's Paul Laramie in 15th place from Jack Angel with Lee Pearcey 17th. So all of those in the mix. Robert Shepherd 18th could be in with a shout at a reverse grid pole as well. But at the moment, it's Sam Walton 14th and Paul Laramie 15th. That would be the front row for the next race. But we've still got half of this one to go. As Mason Turner tries to close down on Jack Dickerson, we've got Rich Hayden behind him as well. So Rich has come up into the top 15. So good performance from Rich. Sam Gumbly in 11th. Ollie Atkins trying to recover down in 12th place. But Scott Bugner, the lead has been cut now. Last time I looked at it, it was 1.5 seconds. It's down to 6/10. And Gabe Norse is on an absolute flyer again.
Yeah, Scott was hoping that maybe they'd just fight a little bit longer so he could gain a bit of a gap, a bit of a cushion from the closing pack. But no such luck at the moment, as Gabe is again still pushing and closing fast as we come down the start-finish straight. So see if he dives to the inside to go for a move, or he's probably a little bit too far out at the moment. Oh no, he does poke his nose in just slightly. You never know what they're going to do. So he's going to try to get another run up here, as they come to the top of the hill, maybe try to make a move around there as we come to Le Combs, which is quite a popular overtaking spot. So just looks like Scott's dropping him a little bit, so he might be safe, but we'll see how much of a dive that Gabe wants to do, either up the inside or maybe try to hang it out the outside. Obviously, it's going to chop and change back and forth to what racing line then he's on. So as he draws up alongside him and past him. So yeah, nice move there. He's just got to keep him behind now, because it seems to be we're getting a lot of back and forth, which is what we like to see. Close racing, constant kind of lead changes or changes throughout the pack as well. So it keeps us on our toes. But Andy's looking like he's getting a bit of pressure as well from Chris Blakey that's closing in. So we'll probably have a battle with them two coming soon. But yeah, Scott's not letting this one go just yet, is he?
No, he's not. Having said that, though, I can't see on this form that we've seen, with the way he got to the front in the opening laps and then the way he recovered as well, I can't see anybody beating Gabe Norse tonight. He could be on, I think that is Jack Smith hat-trick type form. And I think the gauntlet was thrown down last week, but he looks really spectacular at the moment, does Gabe Norse. out front, building a little bit of a gap over Scott already. It's just over half a second. Chris Blakey looking handy though, out of the rest of them, and Jack Smith trying to close in. So Blakey and Carroll about to get into the scenario where they'll perhaps start to just bother each other, slow each other up a little bit, and Jack will be very firmly focused on that. I can't see Jack getting close enough to Gabe in this one, despite him having the fastest lap of the race, although that's now changed, I think, to Andy Carroll. Zach Hancock's has had a little bit of a ding. And Zach Racing, I mentioned Mazda MX-5s. He's in the Clubman's Championship, which is a sort of slightly lower budget version. They race on one day at a racing weekend rather than having 3 races over 2 days. And it's also about bringing newcomers into the MX-5 sport as well. So now I know he's there, I can keep an eye on it. I haven't updated any of my Mazda records this year because I'm not working on them, but always good to find someone else to follow in those championships. So I needed to give him a shout out. If anybody else new to the championships here wants to ping some information in the mix on Discord, please do, and Becky and I will be more than happy to talk about you, as we do the likes of Gabe Norse, who's still out front. And look at that, he's doubled the lead since we last looked. 1.2 seconds now over Scott Bugner, who's still in a good strong second place, ahead of Andy Carroll, with Chris Blakey third. They're all spaced out now though, and this is kind of the mid-race lull, I tend to call it. It tends to be frenetic at the start of many races, then it all settles down, and then all being well, hopefully we'll have a few charges towards the last few minutes and maybe have a grandstand finish somewhere along the line.
I was just going to say maybe everybody's just settling down, having a bit of a somewhat breather and working out their next move. As you say, that gap is slowly increasing. Surely Scott can't say he doesn't enjoy front wheel drives anymore with the performances he's been putting on as of late, and especially if he's going to get his first podium, he'll probably still be a bit annoyed that he's not got that win at the moment, but there's still plenty of time for that attack to go on, as Jack is trying to close up on this pack as well and think, right, can I try to get a few people in one corner, and that will make my life a lot easier to close that gap and make sure he's keeping his points advantage on Gabe at the moment. Also quickly to mention, Ollie Gibson doesn't seem to be with us this evening either, so might be obviously Whigby has dropped round this time round, so we'll see how that plays out further onto the season. If this again, it might not be a really particular track that Ollie liked, or whether he's had connection issues or other commitments. So hopefully he'll be back soon, whether it's later this evening, because I'm sure I saw him on the server. And a quick mention of Gabe, it seems like maybe he's got his setup sorted, because he was saying that was a weakness last week. So maybe this week he's been revising, getting it all tweaked, because yeah, his pace just seems to be incredible. And I think Jack was trying to get past Chris there, didn't quite make it work. Chris has just managed to hang off him for a little bit longer, but it might be, oh no, as Jack looks like he's just veered off a little bit there, so obviously the grip not there, or did he just stick it around the outside and just seem to have more grip? It looked like from that angle he just was veering off the track, but he just took a wider line round and has managed to get past him. So there you go.
Seemed to work for him, didn't it, that? I mean, it looked like a bizarre line, but he certainly knows what he's doing, does Jack, as we now pick up on Ollie Atkins. So 8th position, chasing down teammate Mason Turner. Mason, in turn, looking to try and engage with Christian Gillian in 6th position. Nice to see Christian up there, actually. Let's have a quick look down. Christian's best result had a 6th place in round 1. So he's pretty much mirroring that at the moment. And that's nice to see. I'd love to see Christian up on the podium at some point. Maybe he'll get the chance to do that. As I say, very consistent driver running in the McLaren. And here comes the yellow McLaren, but he's got the Swift Cooper boys right behind him at the moment as well. Turner and Atkins, and Ollie Atkins has another gyration, drops down. That's a shame for Ollie. Not going to replicate the podium he had in round 4 of the championship at Imola. But he will be back. If he stays where he is at the moment, if he's recovered, he's in 9th place. So it'll be relatively handy for the reverse grid in race 2. And we know what he'll be able to do from there. Gabe Norse goes out of shot, the race leader, not getting any coverage as he's down the road. Scott Bugner still being chased by Andy Carroll. Jack Smith in 4th, trying to hunt them down. Chris Blake is still 5th. And then we go back to the aforementioned Gillian, Turner, Andy Dorman 8th, then Ollie Atkins, Jack Dickerson in 10th place at the moment from Sam Gumbly. Then it's Jacob Lander Following Jacob is Sam Walton, Rich Hayden 14th, and Paul Laramie in 15th. So it's Hayden and Laramie on for the front row of the grid at the moment in race number 2, with 9 minutes remaining. And I'm guessing with the temperatures rising up and down the country at the moment, there are going to be some very sweaty bods in their simulators at the moment. And maybe that's where Ollie Gibson is. Maybe he's down at the hop cabin watching and cheering, or maybe he's on holiday. I don't know. One of the two.
Well, Elaine's actually just popped a message into the YouTube chat. Unfortunately, he's not very well, so he's at home recovering. So hopefully he's back next week. So get well soon, Ollie. Hope sorry too. Yeah,
apologies, Ollie, for the flippant comment. Didn't realise that. So yeah, I hope you're feeling well soon. And I know he doesn't mind a bit of stick, but it's the last thing you want when you're feeling poorly. So look forward to seeing you back on track, and hopefully on the podium again next week. And talking of podium battles, this is for the 2nd and 3rd spots, and Andy Carroll trying to close in on Scott Bugner. But it is the lone McLaren in the top 4. Holding up well again here. Last week's driver of the round. We're probably going to have to pick someone different this week, to be perfectly honest. But this is great stuff from Andy Carroll. One of our top pilots. Can't always do as many rounds as he would like to due to work commitments. But when he's here, he's always on form. And now we're going to see what sort of form he can do in terms of defending from Jack Smith. But you just get the feeling Jack's going to do a Gabe Norse here and slice his way through. The smart money would say, with 8 minutes to go, that Jack should be on for a P2 here. But it's not going to be easy getting past Bugner and Carroll immediately in front of him. He's trying to size them up at the moment. It's 4th place points right now, and he won't want to lose too many on Gabe, who is now 4 seconds down the road. There is Gabe again in the red and white car. Chris Blakey running well here. It's nice to see Chris doing well. Qualified on pole at the outset of the championship at Losail, then took 3rd in the opening race. Has been a little bit away from the podium since then. Josh Brennan's just had a little coming together, I think, with John Jones further back. So hopefully those guys will be able to recover. But here comes Jack Smith. He's already passed quite a few people. Bear in mind, he's come up from 15th on the grid, the championship leader, and about to try and get on the podium. The door is open, or is it? The door is open because it's a pass attempt here by Andy Carroll, looking to try and get around the outside of Scott Bugner, and does it as if the car is on rails. That was very spectacular from Andy Carroll. Superb move, and now Jack Smith's going to try the other side.
Yeah, that was a very nice move by Andy Carroll there. It looked like there was literally a whisker in between their two bumpers, which I'm sure Scott was not expecting, as Jack manages to get Scott as well. So Scott's probably a little bit infuriated now, like, okay, I've just lost 2 positions, but he's on the attack to try to regain those positions. So he'll keep battling as he tries to stick it up the inside and keep it there on the run down, run up to Arouge and Radion. But we'll see, he's literally tucked in nice and tight behind Jack Smith, so he'll just keep the pace and try to make a move as he runs a fair bit wide there. So maybe track limits just a little bit, so he'll have to kind of settle back down and work out when his next move is going to be. But Andy's trying to gap them now, so he's got about a second on them now, so he'll be quite comfortable kind of thinking, right, just keep pushing, let them keep battling, because now it's brought Chris Blakey into it, and hopefully Chris is not going to do any drifting this evening, as he runs a little bit wide there. I thought I just jinxed him as he went onto the gravel, thinking, oh no. So yeah, hopefully he will have some good performances, because again, he was showing his form last week, but yeah, probably the drifting not necessarily helping him at that point. As we jump back to Mason Turner, who's trying to attack Andy Dorman, so that's another close battle that's going on, and Christian's not too far up the road either.
No, there was a bit of contact with one of the Cooper drivers with Christian, but it was on the timing screen. It might have just been a very light touch, and therefore perhaps not of interest to the clerk, Ian Danaher, when he and Rich review all the footage. I think I saw Rich get penalty last week as well, so he does. They are quite. He's quite hard on himself in terms of those. And Rich down in 14th place at the moment. So it's Lee Piercy 15th, as you can see from the tower. And it is interesting to see, drivers like that out front don't have to battle their way through in race 2. So it could be a completely different complexion as Mason Turner continues on his way, chasing Andy Dorman. Andy chasing Christian, as Becky rightly said. And Gabe Norse still out front. Just having a quick look at lap times to see who has got the best lap, and at the moment it is still Jack Smith with 2:16.418. Gabe North still the race leader though. Jack Smith did manage to work his way through the podium. Let's see what Andy Dorman can do here. He's under attack from Mason Turner. Dorman in turn looking to try and get past Christian Gillian, who's gamely holding on to that 6th place. We know he's capable of more than that, is Christian. He's got a little bit of breathing space at the moment because Dorman and Turner will engage. Ollie Atkins coming back up to play as well. You can see Jack Dickerson in the background in 10th place, up ahead of Sam Gumbley. And Sam has had 3 top 10 so far, so he's just shy of getting into the top 10 once again as Christian Gillian heads this group into the last 4 minutes of the race, with Gabe North now 7 seconds clear. Andy Carroll in P2. This is the main battle on circuit at the moment. Having said that though, our director Steve rightly goes back to the P2 battle, which is Andy Carroll now coming under pressure from Jack Smith, and Andy with that super move around the outside of Scott Bugner. We'll see whether Jack has got time to make it up into P2 and just grab a few points back, and that of course will put him pretty much level with Gabe North at the back end of the top 15 for race 2, so he's got to do all the work again. Here they come though. It's Smith putting the pressure on. Andy Carroll still in 2nd place, and all he'll be able to see is those teeth gnashing, chomping at the bit behind him, ready to try and make a move.
Yeah, it's probably quite an imposing livery. Here's Jack, and obviously Ollie is when he's racing as well. Yeah, that in your rear view, and it's probably all you can see and think about. But yeah, hopefully Andy's holding him off for a little bit longer. I suppose he can't really back off too much to bring his teammate into play, because that just leaves him probably very vulnerable. So we've got a pack of 4 that we've jumped back to. Again, Christian still leading the way, with Andy Dorman still trying to defend and attack, along with Ollie Atkins and Mason Turner. So it looks like Ollie's managed to get round Mason, because he was obviously attacking Andy to begin with. So now they've done a little bit of a switcheroo, and now it looks like actually Ollie's managed to jump both of them. So he's ahead of both Mason and Andy's unfortunately dropped to the back of that pack in all that kind of squabbling, a lot of chopping and changing. So, but it's still going to keep going. We've got 2 minutes left. So yeah, plenty of battle still going on, as it just looked like, was it Mason that's just outbroke himself? So unfortunately, yeah, just dropped back off the pack. I'm sure he'll be back pushing on. He's not actually managed to drop too much, just managed to turn in eventually, but probably lost a little bit of time. That wasn't ideal, as it looks like again Jack's just dropped off a little bit, and just a little bit of a gap, as Gabe's just increased it to about an 8-second lead. Which, as you point out, it's always great when you're leading, but then you don't get any coverage because you're so far ahead.
You get an interview though, which is
yes,
good.
Very true.
He'll well, I don't know if that's a good thing with me doing interviewing, but do you want to do an interview tonight, by the way?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to jump in on that.
Fantastic, that's good. And Jack Smith's still trying to have a go at Andy Carroll, who's done a superb job here. Andy Carroll, I've got to say, is not using the winningest car. I always get told off using that word when we're at the racetrack, but using something a little bit different and doing a super job getting into the position that he's in and maintaining it. Ollie Atkins looks handy for me tonight as well, I've got to say. And he's going to line up kind of midway in that top 15 or thereabouts for race 2. Could be a tip, I think, for definitely a tip for the podium, maybe for the win from there, because he's been very, very strong. He's dropped back a couple of times like Gabe Norse. If he can keep ahead of Gabe in the second race as they work their way through the rest of the top 15, then he could well be in with a shout with the form that I think we've seen from him in this race thus far. But this one has been a demonstration from Gabe Norse. Got into the lead early on with some rapid ascent, without rapid ascent through the field, then got knocked back, then came back again. So this is a very hard-earned race victory in the offing for Gabe Norse, who will take his 3rd win of the championship. And or is he got another lap to do? We're over time now. Yeah, he's got another lap to do. So the timing there was probably not ideal. So he's got another lap to do. I'll tell you someone who won't be very pleased about that, Becky. That's Andy Carroll. He could have probably done with the checker coming out there.
Yeah, probably was praying that Gabe would just let off a little bit with that 8-second lead, just be like, just slow up and just cross the line once the time's gone down instead of starting another lap. But I'm sure the adrenaline's pumping for Andy. We'll see if he can hold off Jack. And Jack's probably thinking, right, this is now obviously my final chance. Thanks for that, Gabe. But then I suppose Gabe's probably thinking, oh no, I shouldn't have done that, because obviously it's one extra space that Jack could potentially gain, and looks like he is gaining as he manages to jump to the outside, and then through Lacombs quite nicely. No real issues. So I think Andy's thought, definitely it'd be a challenge to hold him off for the rest of this lap. But you never know, he might just be sitting back and thinking, right, I'll give you that false sense of security, let you pass, and I'll try to catch you back up during this lap. But it does look like Jack is got foot fully down. Just about saw Gabe there just disappear out of view. We'll spur him on a little bit, but he obviously knows he's not closing that gap at this time yet. I know Jack is a very good racer, but some things are a little bit out of reach.
It reminds me of that phrase that you often hear on the podium from the man in P2. Oh, if we'd have had another lap, I'd have got him. And I guess, if the checkered flag had come out, Jack probably would have said that. But he did. So that's going to, next time I hear that, I'll believe them. As long as they're as close as Jack Smith was, and as long as they're as talented as Jack Smith is in his hot cavern DK Power car. But we go back again to Gabe Norse. So there was very nip and tuck on the timing. I must admit, I confidently thought at the time was going to be up, but it wasn't. And this man had to do another lap. But all good practice for him, and for race 2, which is upcoming. He will start 15th on the grid, will Gabe Norse. And it's a sense of deja vu now as he will go across the line and take the checkered flag. The checkers will appear as if by magic virtually, and on our timing screens as well. Indeed they do. Gabe Norse confirmed as winner. We have to wait for Jack Smith to come across the line in P2, which he does. It's Andy Carroll in 3rd place, Scott Bugner in 4th, Chris Blakey with a good consistent 5th place. Ollie Atkins, after a roller coaster race around the roller coaster circuit, is going to come home in 6th position in his Beamer. We still wait for Ollie to come across the line. I'm waiting for my timing screen to update, which it will do any moment. There it is. So Ollie in 6th, Christian Gillian in 7th. So a solid result from Christian, not his best of the year, but a good run nonetheless. Andy Dorman 8th. Mason Turner comes across the line in 9th place, and it's Sam Gumbly in 10th, so another top 10 for Sam. Well done, mate. Sam Walton 11th from Lee Pearcey in 12th, then Jacob Lando, who's right up with us at the front in the next one, as is our front row, which will be at the moment Rich Hayden, and Rich goes across the line, followed by Paul Laramie, who will be on pole for race 2. Jack Dickerson just missing out on that reverse grid section. Josh Brennan will be next up. Again, like to get some information maybe on Josh, if you can ping that to us, that would be great as well. Josh will finish in 17th place, indeed he does, followed by John Jones, Jack Angel, Zach Hancocks and Robert Shepherd. So that's how they finished. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with some podium interviews, our first of the evening, in just a minute or so.
Early stages of the second Legends Cars race.
Legends Cars there, I certainly did, and who knows, we may even have another Scottish Legends Cars Esports Championship coming up for you. You have to wait and see. They're not front wheel drive, so I'm sure there'll be at least one driver, i.e. Scott Bugner, campaigning against that. But he was good in that. Anyway, on to today and the first of our interviews. Third position goes to Andy Carroll. Well done, Andy. Always great to talk to you. Stunning drive and a super move round Scott Bugler to get you into second. But I bet you wish that Gabe had backed off a bit because you were P2 with what turned out to be a lap to go.
Yeah, no, I think Gabe had such good pace coming through. Yeah, he caught me up and breezed past me, no problem. So, yeah, didn't see him appearing in the distance anytime soon. And yeah, just as soon as I saw Jack he had a great run out of Radion, and at that point I was like, yeah, I've got no chance to defend him here up that straight. So yeah, as I say, but if you'd said I was going to finish third in that race, I would have bitten your hand off, because those BMWs are seriously quick around here. So yeah, very pleased with that.
Oh, that's really good. It was nice that after not doing round one that you managed to get into the top 15, you and Scott, and it's quite fascinating to see the pair of you having a good old workout at the start of it. And Scott just seemed to not slow, but just seemed to go off the boil.
Yeah, he just seemed to lose a slight bit of pace towards the sort of last third of the race. And then yeah, he ran a bit wide out of one of the corners, which meant I got a good run on him and was able to go around the. Thankfully it was Scott, so my teammate, so I didn't think he was going to do anything silly into that corner. But yeah, no, it was yeah, he just dropped back a bit after that. But yeah, no, it's say really good race, tough race, trying to keep up, or certainly keep the level of pace that would keep me in with the BMs, and then yeah, so just kind of try not to make any mistakes. Tyres were going a little bit towards the end and sliding around a bit more, but yeah, really pleased.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's always good to get you on the podium. Loads of work to do in race two, obviously starting quite a way back, halfway, well, not quite half, 3/4 of the way down the field, I think, with 20 odd runners. That's going to be another workout, isn't it? Is it hot where you are, by the way? We've got sort of quite stonking temperatures here in South London at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like 23, 24 today. So yeah, I could do with a bit of. I've got the old fans running on the sim, so that's helping keep things a bit more comfortable. But yeah, we're getting to that time of the year now where every week's going to be a bit bit sweaty and sticky, and yeah.
Yep, shower time afterwards. It's probably the way forward. But there we go. Yeah, well done, Andy. It was great to chat to you on the podium. Good luck for race two. Hopefully we'll catch up with you a little bit later on. Andy Carroll, well done. Thanks, mate. Third position. Second position interview is over to Becky.
So in second place, we've got Jack Smith. How you doing tonight, Jack?
Yeah, not bad, thanks, Becky. Yeah, it was an interesting race one. I think got a little bit lucky at the start. I'm not really sure what happened, but I got podded into the barriers, which is not an ideal start.
We just saw you on the grass and in the barrier at one point, so was expecting a bit of damage on your car. So not saying you're not a good driver, but wasn't really expecting you to make maybe that many places up. So yeah, talk us through how you managed that.
Yeah, I don't know really. It hit the barrier and I had a bit of like rear right suspension damage. So yeah, every time I hit the brakes, the car sort of started crabbing. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be grim for the rest of the race. And yeah, it was just the car was already snappy around here, so it just made it so much worse. And I was trying to catch up to Gabe, and I saw that he made a mistake, and I was like, all right, here we go. I did not have the confidence in the car to get past everyone really cleanly and fast. So I just had to sort of bide my time and make sure I got a nice run, and yeah, just managed to get Andy right at the end there. And I think that's probably the best I could have done there, really. So yeah, no, I'm super happy with that. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in the next one.
Yeah, I bet you were pretty happy to see Gabe cross the line with still, I think it was about 7 seconds left on the time, thinking, great, I can get this second place now.
Yeah, I was working it out. I was thinking, like 10 seconds down the road, we've got like 2 minutes 40 left on the clock. I think we'll be all right. So yeah, I sort of worked that in, and then yeah, just got Andy right in the last moment that I possibly could have, and yeah, luckily it worked out. I just tried to make sure that I had a nice run out the first corner, and yeah, it worked in my favour. So yeah, again, we'll see what we can do in race two. See if I can stay awake. I'm knackered. I was doing the 24-hour kart race this weekend, so My arms and my brain is just dead at the minute. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. I'll get some like toothpicks, hold my eyes open whilst I'm driving around. But yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Grab an energy drink and get ready for race 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, congratulations on P2.
Cheers, Becky. Thank you.
I'll pass over back to you, Richard, to chat to our race winner.
Thanks very much, Becky. Well done, Jack. Yeah, P2. And well done as well to Gabe North Superdrive. Gabe, you did it once, then you dropped back a little bit and you did it again. And you probably don't have the commentary and I don't blame you, but I was saying on the way you came back and the way you were at the start, I can't see anyone beating you tonight if you get the run. So well done. Talk us through your version of events.
Yeah, I managed to get up to the front quite quickly, and then had a bit of an incident with Scott, which dropped me back about 8 seconds off of him. But yeah, I was just able to catch back up relatively quickly, which was a bit of a surprise because I didn't think I was very quick going into tonight, but apparently I was, and then I managed to just make my way past I think it was 3 people in front of me, and then just build up a bit of a gap on them.
Yeah, it was a superb performance, I've got to say, and you know, anyone watching it to see you come back like that. I mean, obviously we saw back working his way through as well. But how aware were you of the timing? I screwed up on what I thought was the last lap because it was very nip and tuck on whether the timing was coming down. I mean, would it have been in your thought to, you know, back off? You had an 8-second lead, and you could have, you know, just chop the lap out, but I kind of get the impression you just love driving the car anyway, so another lap weren't going to hurt anyone, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like this car and track combination, so I didn't really think about slowing down. Well, I did a bit, but I kind of just felt as though I'd just continue on because I didn't know how much I needed to slow down for it to end the race there, so I just kept on going round, and then yeah, it wasn't really anything to gain from it, from slowing down.
It's amazing the things you have to look out for, isn't it? I mean, obviously Jack managed with that extra lap. Jack managed to get past Andy and get a couple of points up in second position. So you know, I guess there was so many things that you can end up looking at and studying. I was talking to some Caterham drivers the weekend on Anglesey, and they were saying that, you know, they even have to be mindful of which way the wind's blowing, so they're getting the feel of it, and also looking at the wind turbine. If you've not been to Anglesey, there's a windmill there, so they're sort of looking to see which direction the wind's going to help get their draft right on the straight and stuff like that. There's so much to think about, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a few races on iRacing, which is a different sim game to this, the other week, and it was around Thruxton, which is very dependent on the wind. And
Right.
I think some of the laps were about a second in difference if the wind was facing in one direction rather than the other.
Goodness me, yeah, it's a lot to have to cope with, isn't it? And I don't know how you get to feel that. I mean, do you get an indicator? Is there something comes up on screen tells you the wind direction and stuff like that?
Yeah, you can just look in like the settings and stuff, and it will usually tell you.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting to know that. Yeah, and another thing for you guys to have to think about. Well done on a great win, though, Gabe. We're heading out towards our second race. I've no doubt we'll probably have another natter with you over the course of the evening, but congratulations and very well driven. Thanks for entertaining us out there, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Gabe North, our race winner. Becky spoke to Jack Smith, and before that we had a word with Andy Carroll, our third place man. And first on BMW, once again, was Andy Carroll, to put some perspective on that one. It is Paul Laramie that starts on pole position for race 2 with Rich Hayden. Jacob Lander, a new name up towards the front. Well done, Jacob, for getting into the top 15 with Lee Pearce here alongside. We've got some good names here and some new names. So, Becky, this should be a treat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how this all unfolds. And always good to see some new names getting a chance up the front. It's good with the reverse grid as well, because even though you might not think, I'm not in the top 5, top 10, as long as you're in the top 15, you've still got a chance in race 2. So it always mixes things up a little bit, but yeah, still in for a chance for a lot of these drivers.
It does. I'm really excited to see how this goes. And chance for Rich to maybe pick up his first podium of the season. Wasn't with us at round 1, had an 8th and 2 11ths last week, so has done well to get into the top 15 section, Rich Hayden. And we'll find out what he can do from the outside of the front row as we are about to get underway for race 2 of the evening from Virtual Spa. And it's Paul Laramie that gets away well. His distinctive livery running superbly. Jacob Lander third at the moment. I think he's going to defend that. He's one of the Swift Cooper drivers on the inside. Rich Hayden goes for the sweep round the outside. So too does Lee Pearcey in his blue livery as well. A couple of cars being sort of forced off wide, but I think everybody's still facing in the right direction, which is important. So it's Laramie from Hayden, Pearcey, then Sam Waltons, Ollie Atkins fifth, Jacob Lander still in 6th place. Go on, Jacob, keep it up there, mate. He is in 6th place for Mason Turner, Andy Dorman 8th, Christian Gillian in 9th, Robert Shepherd completing our top 10. So Robert Shepherd having a good opening run as well.
Yeah, it all looked somewhat calm, especially towards the front, which was good. Everybody getting round the first corner nicely. Like you say, a bit of a kind of combination of cars behind, but hopefully they're all sorted. I don't know if, again, unfortunately, it might have been Jack Smith caught up in that. I just saw that kind of beigey Hoposaurus, as it's branded, spinning on the grass. So, yeah, maybe not Jack's night tonight. But like you say, you get them some of the time. So, yeah, Rich has managed to get a flying start here. He'll be absolutely loving this. And his teammate's not too far behind. He's just got to get past Paul Laramie. So we'll never know. We might get a VRRC 1-2 there as well. That's the team they're racing under, both Rich and Lee. But yeah, Rich just gaining a little bit of time on everybody. Not that much where you're really that comfortable. I don't think you can ever be fully comfortable unless you get like an 8-second lead like Gabe did in the first race. So yeah, the pressure's still on for everybody. We've got a nice tight pack here as well, nice train. Sam Walton as well, done well in the start of that one. And again, like we mentioned before, Ollie Atkins looks to be really on it this evening with a couple of spins in the earlier race, but still managed to make up positions and keep gaining. So if he didn't have those spins, I wonder where he would have ended up as Lee goes around the outside of Paul. Is he managing to stick it around the outside, maybe? So we'll see when we get them back on us. We've got 3 wide, so we've got, and we're with Sam Walton right behind as well. A little bit of a tap in the back there, just kind of hurrying Paul Laramie along. And it looks like, I don't know if Ollie Atkins has come out on top. There were actually, yeah, Lee's actually managed to gain a little bit. We've then got Sam Walton just behind with now Paul Laramie, got Ollie Atkins and Andy Dorman to fight with, as it's very close.
Yeah, I mean, this is, oh, that's a shame. Sam Walton getting tagged and disappears round. He was on for a strong finish there, I think. Going back to what you said at the start of that segment, saying that it's not Jack Smith's night. He came second in the first race, you know, and that's a bad night, isn't it? It's a bad day in the office for Jack. P2. But yeah, making every second count was Jack, as we ride on board with Scott Bugner. Looking back at Gabe Norse looking to try and go past him. Gabe has disappeared out of the mirrors. Mason Turner about to be passed here by Scott, who's looking fast and consistent. If he can bag another P4, he'll be happy, but that's just been made harder by Gabe Norse going through on the inside. Norse up to 6. Scott Bugner back down again to 7th place. Norse chasing Paul Laramie now. Looks one way, then looks the other. Dives down the inside in the BMW. Laramie under pressure in the Aston is holding on for it at the moment. Grabs the line going into the corner. Norse has got to be mindful here of Scott Bugner. Scott will know that he wants to go through. Now these two, from the sound of it, from what Gabe was saying, there was the lightest of touches maybe in race 1. We couldn't discern it, but it sounded like it from Gabe's point of view. And Scott Bugner will want to try and get Gabe back here, so we maybe need to keep an eye on those. But Gabe Norse right the way around the outside, steadily did it there, around the outside of Paul Laramie, beautifully executed manoeuvre. And the 2 cars showing green get a little bit of contact as well. Bugner, lightest of touches again, goes off the road, loses 3, maybe 4 places to Scott Bugner. In fact, he's down into 10th place at the moment just from that little bit of contact. So let's take stock. It's Rich Hayden out front from his teammate Lee Pearcey. Ollie Atkins, who's come through well. As we said, don't like to say I told you so, but it's rare that I get things right in this sort of racing, to be fair. But Ollie running well in 3rd, Andy Dorman 4th, Gabe Norse in 5th going through shot. Now there's Paul Laramie, Mason Turner, Christian Gillian's come through well again too. And there's Andy Carroll starting to make some stealthy moves through the order. Just caught a glimpse of Jack Smith in the mix as well, trying to come through. And Jack at the moment is in 13th. No, he isn't. This is just resetting itself now, my timepiece in front of me. And let's see where Jack is. he's still in 13th after all that with the refresh going on. So Smith trying to get up into the top 10. Still one place gained on his starting position. But rightly now, we'll have a look at Hayden and Piercy out front. The gap is 0.7 of a second. And Rich Hayden looking as comfortable as we've seen him in the car at the moment. And that's the beauty of having a reverse grid. He might have been getting bogged down with traffic rather than getting some clear circuit and just getting his head down and being able to go about his business in a typical race driver fashion and maybe banging some fastest laps. Well, having said that, I think his job's going to get complicated, Becky, in a minute, because Lee Piercy is closing in. He's taken 0.3 out of him on the last lap. Scott Bugner getting physical or getting involved in some physicality there. In 10th position with Kieran Haynes. Andy Carroll still ahead of them. But Hayden and Piercy getting closer, and it really is a job at the moment to know where to look.
Yeah, good to see Kieran Haynes manage to rejoin the server because, like I said, he was setting some of the fastest times in the practice session, so he's definitely going to make up quite a few positions, I reckon. And again, yeah, Ollie Atkins, I wouldn't be so confident if I was Rich or Lee because Ollie has had some very good pace, so as long as he can keep it facing the right way, I reckon, yeah, they're going to have a challenge on their hands as we near the end of the race. Again, might get it in a bit sooner, but he's a little bit off the back of them at the moment as we jump back on board with Kieran Haynes, who, like I say, has just seemed to really gelled with this track especially. But in the last few weeks and performances, obviously you got our driver of the round in the first round. So yeah, really liking this championship, I'd say, with the choice of car and the tracks. So yeah, we'll see what he has in store for the rest of this race.
Well, indeed. Kieran trying to work his way through the order. Lee Piercy still chasing. We've got Gabe Norse in 5th, and Lee Piercy takes the lead. Had the fastest lap, I was about to say, going up to that point, but overdoes it, gyrates, and Rich Hayden's back into the lead. Lee Piercy sadly losing out there, and was that just the momentum from the past? Maybe an errant look in his mirror, but whatever the reason, he has gone from the race lead, and Rich Hayden is regifted it. Ollie Atkins in P2 trying to close down. Atkins will look at his mirrors and see Andy Dorman there. Not only Andy Dorman, but Gabe Norse, who surely is going to be in the mix here for another podium, if not perhaps a win. We've still got 22 minutes of this race to go. And at the moment, the focus here is on P2. Atkins under enormous pressure from Andy Dorman, and we ride on board with Andy Dorman, who draws level here. He's going to go side by side with Ollie Atkins. Atkins will still be on a podium if he loses the place, but for how long? Because he's got Gabe Norse right behind him as well. And we can see Gabe in the rear-facing camera, but Atkins is putting up a great fight here. Really good stuff under pressure from Atkins. Good attacking driving from Dorman, who's now going to have to go defensive from Gabe Norse, who's piling the pressure on him. Wonderful scrap then. All of this for second place. Here comes Norse, has a little speculative look down the inside. Nothing quite doing there. He will bide his time. He knows he's got 2/3 of the race to go. And Rich Hayden is probably looking in his mirrors at the moment and going, oh my goodness me, there are some quick drivers behind who are putting in some good laps. But Hayden holding his nerve at the moment. And, well, led from the off, momentarily lost the lead to his teammate Lee Piercy, who's got back into the top 10. Lee, of course, won't have enough points now as we get the challenge on again. I've got to say, Andy Dorman here, Becky, still challenging despite being challenged by Gabe Norse, and that does actually eventually open up to a gap which Norse is going to capitalise on, or can he, because Dorman's got the inside run again on the next corner and fends off Norse once again. Norse doing what Jack Smith did in race number 1, which is, you know, picking them off when he can and not doing anything lungy. There's a new word for you.
Yeah, the poor vantage of Andy Dorman is getting a little bit bullied here by all the BMWs around him, but he's holding his own. He's not quite letting it go just yet. He's pushing and making sure he can try to, if he does lose the position or lose a little bit of kind of momentum, he's still battling on. So he's lost the position at the moment to Gabe, but I'm sure he's going to keep on his tail and keep pushing and maybe go for a move at some point, whether he goes for the lungy move or not, we will see as we jump back with Paul Laramie looking ahead at Kieran Haynes and Mason Turner, who I think are from two different sides of the Swift Cooper teams, and yeah, manages to nip it up the inside. Not quite got the momentum out of that corner to to get Mason Turner just yet, as they've settled back down, they're back behind each other instead of being side to side. And Andy Carroll there looking quite keen to get past as well. So yeah, Paul Aramine now in the similar position as Andy Dorman is thinking, right, I've got to look forward, I've got to look back, I've got to look everywhere at the moment, because there's challenges coming in all shapes and forms all round.
Are we going to see an Aston win here? On the timing screen, it doesn't say Aston, it says Rich Hayden Adonis. I'm not quite sure whether that is deliberate on Rich's part, but he's out front at the moment. 1.62 seconds to the good over Ollie Atkins. And Rich, I know, would love to be the first non-BMW winner. It's right, isn't it? Because it's all been Gabe Norse and Jack Smith so far. And he's holding the gap well. The scrap for second, third and fourth. Maybe just doing enough. What am I saying? We've still got 2/3 of the race to go. Hayden's going to be under pressure before the end, isn't he? For sure. He's got a good lead at the moment, and he's worked hard, and he's done exactly what you need to do on these reverse grid, partial reverse grid races to get out, get a lead. As we look back, Lee Pearcey trying to make some progress. And Lee Pearcey's caught Scott Bugner already with Chris Blakey in the mix as well. There are 4 great long-term VRRC drivers all together trying to close in on 2 relative newcomers, those of Mason Turner and Kieran Haynes, all working very, very hard indeed. But here comes Andy Carroll, who's chipped away well. Remember, started in 13th place on the grid and has made his way up in, you've got to say at the moment, relatively unfancied McLaren, but into 7th place. So great driving from Andy. Rich Hayden. Oh, and now it's changed for second place. Gabe Norse now showing on the timing screen up in second place. Ollie Atkins is down to third. Andy Dorman in fourth. We'll see whether Ollie Atkins can come back. So it's a BMW 2 and 3 at the moment. And we'll see whether Andy Dorman can close in on them again. If they start to battle, Ollie Atkins now gets the chance to watch Gabe Norse, who I'm guessing has a wee bit more sim racing experience. Gabe's is a name that has, popped up. Even if you don't watch sim racing, I guess there are some people that probably have seen his name around in different places. Very accomplished driver, as we've seen in this series and previous ones as well. He is, of course, our reigning champion in the touring car series that we had last time. And Ollie Atkins will be learning from him for sure, watching how he's driving the same car, and Ollie's coming back at him and having a go. This is great stuff from Ollie Atkins. Gabe Norse on the inside, and Ollie Atkins challenging to try and get second position back. Rich Hayden will be watching this with interest as well. I don't think Ollie can quite do it there, but the Swift COTA liveries are absolutely flying at the moment in P2. Again puts in the challenge, and Gabe Norse really having to think about this now, Becky.
Yeah, he's got a challenge on his hands here with Ollie Atkins. Like we've said numerous times already, the pace he has this evening of Ollie Atkins, it's probably quite worrying for Gabe. Battling on and keeping up with him. And like you say, the sitting behind and being able to watch what lines people take. I know, again, when I'm on the sim and I get my partner to set a lap, and I set the ghost, and again I'm picking up, okay, right, actually I can go faster in that corner than I'm actually doing so. So especially in the same car, obviously setups will likely differ, but you can pick up probably a bit, and then again pick up where maybe they're a little bit weaker. So it always seems like Ollie has a good run up Radion and Rouge, and as we come out of there, he always seems to have a lot of pace on whoever he's battling and more momentum up on that strip. Well, I say straight in inverted commas type of thing. Because it's not fully straight. It's obviously a little bit of a bend, but it always seems to have more momentum than the car he's chasing. But poor Rich is now under pressure from Gabe, who I think isn't going to... It goes wide there and, yeah, maybe off track. And so we'll see if he can... He's just obviously settled back down to hopefully deviate any sort of track penalties that he might get. He's obviously not gone for a move there. He's backed off and settled, and now he's obviously going for the move up the start-finish line, as Rich is probably thinking, oh, I thought I had this one. It was nicely ahead for quite a while, for just under half of the race, but he's still holding up out there. Gabe looking to try to nip up the inside, but not quite managed it. So we'll see what happens as we get again up the hill once again, see if Gabe can make the move, stick this time round.
It's of ABC, isn't it? A for Aston, B for BMW, C. Well, let's see whether the second position car is going to make the move and get through. I think it's probably just a question of time here. And Gabe Norse, this was the difficult bit in terms of him being able to maybe get a hat-trick. Coming through from 15th on the grid after race one when he's got the lead, and it was almost as easy as ABC. The Aston put up a good fight there, Rich Hayden, still in P2. Ollie Atkins will now fancy second position. Andy Dorman still trying to close in as well. Kieran Haynes is 5th now. Mason Turner 6th from Andy Carroll in 7th. Lee Pearcey back up into 8th place from Chris Blakey. And Robert Shepherd is in 10th place. Far and away, Becky, his best position of the series so far. Had a great start in this race, Robert Shepherd. We have to look at the drivers that are coming from outside the top 15. And I'm absolutely thrilled to see him up there.
Yeah, I think last week he was about P12, I think, has been his best one. So yeah, great to see him pushing on and gaining experience and yeah, improving his results week in, week out. So it'll be interesting to see when we get to the end of the series where he's kind of finishing up, and yeah, if he can even get into the top 10 in the championship table, I'd say that's a pretty good going for your first time out racing against some of these more veteran drivers that have been racing for VRRC for quite a while.
For sure. He's just been demoted, having said that, by Jack Smith, who's got up into the top 10. So Jack Smith, as you said, certainly in the wars in these two races so far, I would probably think he's probably still going to be in the top couple of rows when the points are totted up after this race. But yeah, Gabe Norse, just the whole demeanour in race 1 said to me, I mean, not that he isn't always after a hat-trick, but it was kind of, it just felt like it might be a little bit of a reaction to Jack Smith's hat-trick last week, and Gabe thinking, yeah, whatever you can do with VRRC, I can do that as well. Kieran Haynes' fastest lap. So Kieran in 5th position, closing down on Andy Dorman. This is Ollie Atkins challenging for second place here. Atkins working his socks off here to try and get his best result of the series so far. And Rich Hayden's not going to make it easy for him. Atkins has got his nose in front and gets the position. Atkins P2. Rich Hayden in the Aston is there in 3rd place at the moment. Andy Dorman 4th. Kieran Haynes 5th. Mason Turner rounds out our top 6 for the moment. But it's Gabe Norse 3.15 seconds clear with 13 minutes to go. What is the gap going to be by the end? Rich Hayden is coming back. Got his nose back in front here. Has Rich with his VRRC Ray-Ban liveried car. And this is not helping Ollie Atkins at all. And it just goes a little tip on the back end. Inadvertent it was, but that might attract the attentions of Ian Danaher tomorrow. And there's more contact now as Andy Dorman's coming through as well. Rich Hayden's dropped back behind his teammate Lee Pearcey as a result of that. But we've got the Swift Cooper boys coming up. And Ollie Atkins in P2. Again, Andy Dorman in 3rd. And Kieran Haynes trying to join them now as well and get up onto the podium. So are we going to get a Swift Cooper double on the podium here? Gabe Norse is now 5 seconds clear with all the shenanigans going on with those three. It was inadvertent contact, but of course it has to be looked at.
Yeah, it's unfortunately sometimes the downside to close racing, and yeah, you get a little bit too close, it gets a little bit more intense, and sometimes it's not always just a slight rub here and there. Sometimes it ends up with a car spinning around, and yeah, I know especially Ian Danaher will be looking at that closely, making sure there was nothing too dodgy going on. But yeah, again, sometimes it is the way of racing, unfortunately. Doesn't make it any better and any less kind of like devastating when it happens, but you sometimes just have to take it on the chin. And that's what I love about some of these sim races. It's probably so easy just to think again, well, it's just online, I can just rage quit, basically turn it all off and be like, I'm done with it this evening. But everybody always kind of picks themselves up and it's like, right, okay, we just got to keep pushing, make the most out of it, get as many points regained as we can. Such a shame for Rich, because he was doing a great job up in the kind of like top positions, and it was good to see him up there, but it does look like he's pitted after that. So probably a fair bit of damage on the car there, and thought, no, we'll just leave it. We've got just coming up to 10 minutes left, so he's probably thinking, right, I'll just rest and I'll get ready for the sprint and maybe get a better outcome of that one.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It was just the lightest, but it doesn't do it, does it? When it forces a retirement, that's no consolation for him at all. Gabe Norse, meanwhile, has the fastest lap as well, 6.71 seconds clear of Ollie Atkins, and Kieran Haynes hunting down Andy Dorman at the moment. When was the last time we saw Andy on the podium? I think it was back in the Touring Car Championship. So Andy, who was a front runner, I think he might be another driver that prefers his front wheel drive. I remember him doing well in that and introducing him to rear Beauchamp when we were up at Croft last year, which is his home circuit. And Croft's later this year for some reason in the BTCC calendar, which to me just says it's going to rain all weekend, as it has done many times when we had the later ones. But I guess the calendar organisers know what they are doing. We will have F4 that weekend. It's Knockhill that I think we're missing F4 at. But yeah, always looking forward to our visit up to the northeast as Dorman looking back at Kieran Haynes. Andy Carroll very distant. I was going to say as you can see, but as you can't see him in the background. He's a sort of orange and blue speck when the straights are long enough to see that far back. But Andy Dorman doing a good job here of defending that third place. And we'll see whether Andy can hang on to it. Kind of inheriting it with the demise of Rich Hayden. But here comes Kieran Haynes. Tries to work his way around the outside in the BMW. Had fantastic grip there. Very good room being left, incidentally, by Andy Dorman. Very good respectful driving from Dorman. The pair of them racing hard. And the Swift Cooper man goes through. So we've got Swift Cooper 2 and 3 now. And Gabe Norse out front. 10 seconds to the good over Ollie Atkins. I'm not surprised that Ollie is in P2, as we said in race number 1. Kieran Haynes has worked his way through superbly in this one. As you said, Becky, from losing server connection, effectively, I guess, coming right from the back in this.
Yeah, I believe he must have been right at the back with obviously no results for race 1. So again, it would have been great to see him in race 1, but good to see him making the most out of this one, and then see what he can do in the final sprint as well. Because he's definitely, like I say, he's had the pace. He's been setting quick times on the server in the practice session. So I bet he's a little bit infuriated by the fact he missed out on race 1, because I reckon he would have probably been on the podium with the way he's performing this evening. And again, Andy Dorman, another good performance. He'll probably be a little bit hard done by if he finishes P4. He's still got time to try to get at least a podium back. But he's just been bullied pretty much this whole evening. He always seems to be surrounded by multiple cars, so he's stood his own. So I bet he's probably got a few stories to tell of this race.
I think you're right. And I've been looking at backgrounds of numbers of these, just totally going off at a tangent, highly irrelevant, but the white number 60 on the black background, I think, and if we get Lee Pearcey on the mic at some point, we'll get confirmation whether that is the case, is the way racing numbers were presented by the promotion that his dad raced with back in the day. I think Lee might have raced with Promoted Sport as well, but they were very well known in oval circles. Most cars had a white square or white background, a black number, but PRI Promoted Sport had a black background and a white number. So I think that's totally of no use to anybody watching this, but I'm pretty sure that's why Lee's done the 60 that way. His dad Geoff used to race and was a British champion in the Group 1 hot rods, I think, back in the day. I've said that quite a few times on I'll make no apology for it. They're a good racing winning family, the Pearceys, but that's why I think he's got the black background on the number. It's a tradition for the family that he does that, and he's recovered well here, hasn't he? He's come up into the top 10, 7th position, chasing Mason Turner. Might have some damage on the car, but as ever, Lee Pearcey working away, grafting away, and has worked his way into some decent points here. He's got Chris Blakey behind him. Jack Smith's recovered well and is in 9th. John Jones 10th. Sam Walton 11th, and Rob Shepherd is in 12th. Robert Shepherd, best result so far in this one is 15th, which was race 3 at Imola, as Chris Blakey gives a little love tap on the back. I'll tell you what, I think Lee Pearcey thought he was back at Arena Essex there with that tap on the back end. Chris backs out of it, though, to be absolutely fair, and he's going to have another go. So it didn't dislodge anybody. It might have lost Lee Pearcey a bit of time, but Chris has done the sporting thing. Just backed away from that, and he'll mount another charge now and have another go.
Yeah, I was going to say, it won't take long to be like, actually, okay, I've done my bit, I've backed off, but now the attack is coming again, as I think he's managed to just, is he still alongside, but he's got the inside, so yeah, that will be a nice overtake there for Chris. I bet Lee was thinking, again, not again. I know he lost it earlier on his own accord by what we could see. But yeah, I think he was thinking, again, I don't want to spin again. I've just made up all these positions, not again. So yeah, pleased that it's managed to stay facing forward. But yeah, good move by Chris. Wonder if Lee will mount an attacks or just think, again, that's fine. He's got 4 seconds cushion from Jack, but I know he'll be probably closing up. soon, but we've got just over 5 minutes, so whether he'll be able to do anything as we jump forward to Ollie Atkins and Kieran Haynes, who are now battling away for P2. Kieran obviously feeling quite good about maybe getting a podium here, pushing Ollie Atkins on. So we'll see what he can do, as he's right behind him. So we can only imagine there's probably going to be a few moves made by both of these, whether they change positions and swap back and forth and keep battling. But both of them look very, very quick this evening. So I'll be interested to see where they will end up in the sprint, and obviously how they progress through that as well. With kind of 15 minutes, it's always like, right, there's less time to get moves done, so it's always seems a little bit more frantic, a bit more like, yeah, we've got to get on with it. We don't have the luxury of just kind of sitting and waiting about and think, oh, I've got plenty of laps to go. The time goes quite quickly, as it is in a 30-minute race, so a 15-minute completely flies by.
It really does, doesn't it? And we've only got 4 minutes 20 of this one remaining, and a good battle between the Swift Cooper on that momentum, as I said, from Luke at the weekend, winning all 3 of the Super Classic Formula Ford 1600 races. There was a lot we were at Anglesey at the weekend, and there was a lot of people talking about Formula Ford there, believe it or not. Not a Formula Ford car in sight, but it really is capturing a lot of imagination this year, Formula Ford, and long may that continue. We do have plans for another Formula Ford Championship and a festival as well. Going to have our own virtual festival this year. I hope we get I'm sure we're going to get loads of drivers in it, as we did last time, and hopefully get loads of people down to Brands Hatch to watch the Formula Ford Festival at the end of the year as well. I'm sure these two guys are going to be watching as guests of the team. Festival was the first place that I got to interview Luke Cooper for real, and always a good interview is Luke as well. Always gives an intelligent answer. He's an absolute pleasure to chat to. So he's a very good mentor to these 2 young lads who are racing for second and third. Ollie Atkins has done a super job so far defending second place, but is that going to be the curse of the commentator? Because Kieran Haynes, who's worked his way through from the very back of the field, might have taken a little bit too much out of his tyres. Maybe that was something we were hearing last week. 3 minutes to go on the clock. 11 seconds now the gap between this pair that are battling hard, and you've got to say it is because they've been involved in battles, as well as Gabe's great driving that has put him well to the front. Andy Dorman's still 4th, Andy Carroll in 5th, Mason Turner in 6th from Blakey, Piercy, Jack Smith 9th, John Jones in the top 10 as well. Not quite sure I missed that earlier on. Well done to John Jones. Lovely to see him on for his first top 10 finish for a while. Could be a contender for driver of the round, John Jones, with that 10th place. So we need to keep our eyes on the drivers that are making their way into the reverse grid section. So good stuff for the man for the Isle of Wight. Paul Lowry that is there as well. Robert Shepherd's dropped down to 15th, which is a pity. But here comes the scrap then for second position. Kieran Haynes trying to make it work around the outside and chops in beautifully, but runs wide, and the switchback as they come onto the main straight is with Ollie Atkins, who's going to get back, but they're still side by side. Andy Dorman keeping a watching brief there. Coming now down into, it's Ollie Atkins still there at the moment. Wonderfully fought out between the 2 teammates. Terrific respect shown over those few corners. Great racing. As a result, as you can see, the gap now goes out to 12 seconds. But do you know what? It's worth it for us to see this great battle.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ollie seems to have all the answers this evening in terms of that. But then Kieran did look like he might have just about had it. So I was like, well, maybe not. But then he's pulled it back. He's managed to keep that position. But we're definitely going to have a few probably changes in these last kind of lap or so. As they're battling on, as all a little bit of a kind of back end kicked out a little bit there for Kieran, and Ollie's looking very keen to get that position back after he's held it for so long as well. And like you say, Andy's just kind of lurking in the background thinking, right, okay, if they come together, this will work out very nicely for me. And then we've got obviously Andy Carroll as well. That seems to, again, not quite in shots, but he's not far off. So again, if anything happens between these two, because again, they're so close. And it doesn't take a lot, as we've already seen. The slightest of taps can cause you to go off quite dramatically. So both drivers need to be really mindful of that. Don't obviously want to take each other off and lose kind of 2 podiums for Swift Cooper teams. That's never what you want. So yeah, keep it nice and clean amongst yourself, but be mindful. Andy is closing in.
He is, yeah. They probably need to get their heads down for a little. They've only got 30 seconds to go, so they might be as well just to settle down. Not that they will get the memo. You know, we as commentators can say, oh yeah, if you work together, but they never really get that memo, do they? But it is Kieran Haynes in second position at the moment. Ollie Atkins in P3. And what about the race leader? That's Gabe Norse, who has done a super job coming through from 15th position on the grid. Worked hard, and the reward for the hard work is going to be the checkered flag and the big points that go with it. A double victory at Spa, unless he crosses the line. He's done it again. We're over time. So he's got another lap to do. And is Kieran Haynes going to be the driver that rues that this time? It's not going to be so much of an issue for Gabe this time, because it's not Jack Smith. Although having said that, Jack Smith, is he going to be able to catch Lee Pearcey? No, he's not. So Jack Smith's not going to, I don't think, make any extra positions out of this additional lap. But I think as much as anything else, Gabe started 14th in race 1, 15th in this one, crosses the line at virtually the same time, Becky. That is so consistent.
Yeah, he's definitely making a point this evening, like you say, with Jack getting his hat trick last week. He's probably thinking, yeah, I'm doing the same this week to make sure you don't think I've given you these wins that easily. So he's pushing on. He's obviously really enjoying the car, really enjoying the track, and thought, yeah, we'll just go around again. That's fine. Again, no pressure pressure coming from Jack's end. Sorry. But we might have Andy managing to make up another position here, because I think he's one of the closest battles, along with Chris Blakey pushing Mason Turner. So see if Andy can pick up another position here with the extra lap being gifted to him.
Yeah, Kieran's just making his way away now, isn't he, at the moment? But Ollie Atkins, you have to say, has worked hard for the podium. But then if Andy Dorman gets it, he will have done exactly the same to close that gap down and get past. We'll see whether he can. But I think Andy will be the top non-Beamer in this one. So still in 4th position. Carroll in the McLaren. We've got some good non-BMWs getting strong point scores, but we've yet to see those other marks making their impact on the leading positions in the races. We very nearly had Rich doing it in his Aston, but I don't think it was to be. But Ollie Atkins looking okay in 3rd place at the moment. But here's our race leader, Gabe Norse, who's done it again in terms of very nearly grabbing the win against the clock. For me, this time it will be the checkered flag for Gabe Norse, who makes it 2 out of 2. That is a stunning start to the evening for Gabe Norse, 2 out of 2. It's going to be Kieran Haynes with a super drive, I think, from the very back there, which is going to set him up potentially for driver of the round as well. Kieran Haynes in 2nd. Well done, Kieran. Ollie Atkins in 3rd. Andy Dorman 4th from Andy Carroll. Mason Turner will come across the line in 6th position, just ahead of Chris Blakey, and Lee Pearcey next up. Jack Smith will be in 9th position, and good recovery from Jack, making the best of whatever you can do. Here comes Jack now up across the line with Scott Bugner rounding out the top 10. John Jones is in 11th place, and John busy chasing him at the moment. This is a great result from John Jones here. He's got Christian Gillian right behind him as well. So John Jones will come across the line, I think, in 11th place. Scott Bugner just coming through now. Oh, it's Jack Dickerson 11th. John Jones is in 12th place. And again, best results of the series for him. Christian Gillian 13th from Sam Walton. Currently behind them, Josh Brennan, Jacob Lander, Zach Hancock, Sam Gumberley, and Robert Shepherd in 19th. Rich Hayden, the non-finisher, after the contact. And we'll have some interviews for you in just a moment.
Back with our interviews for the podium sitters of our 2nd race of the evening. So we're starting with 3rd place. So we've got in third place, we've got Ollie Atkins. It looks like that was a pretty eventful race for yourself there, Ollie, always kind of battling throughout it. But I must say your pace this evening has just looked, you've just looked on it all evening. Do you feel like you've got this car kind of handled, the track suiting it?
Yeah, but it's nice to be here. Podium, can't say I was expecting to be here. Well, I'm here now, and yeah, it certainly wasn't easy. I mean, obviously having the massive battle, like for second, like near the start of the race, I think I made a little bit of contact with Rich, which obviously wasn't intentional, but I don't know if I'm going to get a penalty for that, but I don't think I've got this place cleanly. But I think I did drive quite well, but I was not going to beat Kieran and Gabe, who were miles quicker than me, let's just say.
Well, very good for you to own up to the mistake there, Ollie. Not all drivers will, so yeah, well done on that. And actually, I wouldn't take it away from any of it, because even in the first race, you've had a couple of spins, but you kept pushing and you kept gaining positions, and you were still up there in good positions at the end. So you've definitely got the pace, you've definitely got the skills. So I'm looking forward to see what you've got in store for the sprint race as well.
Yeah, I think this one's going to be a bit more chaotic than any other one, because you have like everyone's going to be sending it as hard as they can, basically. So it's going to have to watch out for like people flying down and inside or something and trying to make up positions on the first.
Yeah, so what would be your plan? Are you going to try to avoid any sort of like chaos at the beginning and hope it settles down and then make your way up the field like you've been doing so far this evening?
Yeah, I think probably my plan is just because what I tried to do with Gabe, but obviously he was too quick. I tried to work with him, but I didn't have the pace of Gabe, so he just pulled away. But I'm happy with third. I don't think I'm going to get any better than this, really. Obviously I'll try, but yeah, we'll just have to see in the next race.
Well, I wish you all the best. I'll let you go, maybe grab a drink and recoup, ready for race 3, because yeah, I'm excited to see what you've got in store.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Becky. Well done to Ollie. Great P3, as we've said, one to watch, wasn't he, after race number 1, and definitely back that up. Another one, which we didn't say to watch after race 1 because we didn't think he was going to be here at one point, is Kieran Haynes. Well done, Kieran. Superb drive, mate. And second position, a great reward for that. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, my PC, I didn't want to come back on race 1, so I had to miss that. Race 2, I started last, and I come P2. I want to say well done to Ollie, because he didn't make it easy. It was a very good fight, and yeah, the pace looks good. I think I'm starting P8 or P9 for this next one. But yeah, I am looking quite good.
Looking very good, I've got to say. How much? I was going to ask, did you watch the Formula Ford at the weekend? It wasn't streamed, but I wonder whether you're up with Luke or were you racing yourself? I have to apologise to all of you that do your racing. I'm off social media at the moment, so I'm not seeing what you're all up to weekends. But I'm guessing you were following, Luke, if you were racing yourself somewhere else, yeah?
Yeah, I weren't actually at the car track because my one I weren't on. It was only cadets and adults. But I looked at the timing screen and he was first by like 5/10. So I want to say well done to Luke as well.
Is he still involved in the coaching process? I mean, obviously he was sort of instrumental in bringing you into VRRC, and you still get to catch up with him?
Yeah, I get to catch up with him at Castle Coombe, and like practices for the next races he does. So yeah.
Got to be a favourite for the festival this year, I would think, at Brands. I hope we can get as many of you Swift Cooper boys down at the Formula Ford Festival in October at Brands Hatch. It'd be lovely to see you and maybe whet your appetite for a bit of single-seater racing later on. But yeah, superb driving from you. Well done on that. What do you think the ambition is? You say 8th on the grid, you reckon? So do you reckon another podium? I don't think I'd bet against that.
Well, that's always the goal. I know Andy is P2, Ollie is P3, Jack is P4, so I know they're going to be pretty hard to try overtake, but I'll give it my all, and I'm hoping for a top 3 again. So yeah.
Well done again. Thanks for chatting to us. Well done on a superb drive. Great entertainment from you with the other drivers as well. Nice clean team racing with your teammate. Very entertaining to watch. Well done, and we'll see you a bit later.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kieran. Well done. And over to Becky with our winners interview.
So congratulations to Gabe Norse for another win, second one this evening. I'm wondering, have you had a few tweaks? I'm not expecting all the secrets off you, Gabe, so don't worry. But have you had a bit of a play about with your setup? Is that why we're seeing such a dominant performance this evening?
Yeah, I've definitely changed it quite a lot from last week. I mean, without going into the specifics, I was very high downforce last week, and now I think I'm the complete opposite of what I was. So seems to have worked a bit, and especially around Spa with the really long straights around here.
Yeah, definitely seeing a paying dividends there. So, and you're still getting a bit of the kind of battle at the beginning, obviously starting from P15 this race and P14 last. So at least you're managing to get those overtakes done. But then I suppose it's quite a calm sort of race for you. Then you're just kind of setting in your kind of quali laps, lap after lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually, well, the last 2 races have been quite exciting for the first 15-ish minutes, and then after that it's kind of just managing the tyres more than anything in this car, because they are very sensitive to overheating constantly.
Well, then that lines me up nicely for another question then. How do you feel it's going to go with the 60-minute races with these tyres then? I can't remember if it was you that said last week there's definitely going to be some pit stops then.
Yeah, I think there will definitely be pit stops, because I just don't think it will be quick enough to just go all out without pitting. I think the tyres will just drop off too much. So I think that will be very interesting for the next round to see how everyone copes with the longer races. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's always exciting having longer endurance races, because you've got so much more to think about, like you say, the pit stops, how your tyres are holding up, and then obviously the fatigue that could set in, especially if we're going to get warmer weather as well. So hopefully it's not too warm for you. And are you planning on going for a hat-trick tonight then with how you've been performing?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a win in the final race, but we kind of just need to see how first lap goes, because Jack's been, I think, quite unlucky in the first laps of these 2 races. So yeah, just need to stay out of trouble, and then hopefully do a repeat of the last 2 races.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. You've managed to tune the car in a little bit more, and obviously you're loving the track and the car because you keep doing extra laps.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the best for the sprint race, and we'll probably speak to you a little bit later on with how you've been going.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Becky. Thank you, Gabe, and very well done to Gabe and our other podium finishers, Kieran Haynes and Ollie Atkins. Great to hear from them. And I'm sure they're looking forward to the next race as much as we are. I'd kind of quite like it to be longer now. I thought it was a great idea having a sprint race, but it sort of cuts short the evening, doesn't it? Not when you're reading a good book and you don't want it to finish. But can't get too much of a good thing, so they say. And don't forget, we'll be back next week with our first hour-long race that Becky was teeing up there with us with Gabe. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that all pans out. Really looking forward to that, and it will bring us to the halfway point of the campaign, which goes up to and into July. As we look at the grid, and it's Gabe Norse, second top point scorer this evening. Very well earned, you've got to say. Andy Carroll. Ollie Atkins is third on the grid from Jack Smith P4. I mean, who would credit that, Jack, after the luck that he's had, winds up P4, so possibly on for another podium. Andy Dorman and Chris Blakey next up from Scott Bugner. Mason Turner, Lee Piercy, 9th from Kieran Haynes, then Christian Gillian and Sam Walton, Sam Gumbley and Jack Dickerson from Jacob Lander and John Jones. Josh Brennan and Rich Hayden on the 9th row of the grid, row 10, Zach Hancox and Robert Shepherd, with Jack Angel in 20th. I haven't seen too much of Jack tonight. Again, I don't have the YouTube thing open because I don't have enough space for additional screens to follow the comments that come through on YouTube. So apologies to all of you that maybe send pertinent information through on that, but I don't get to see that. I've just got the feed with the racing on and some timing, and the phone conked out, so I've had to go away and get another older one which has got some charge in it. And the other thing is, from my workstation here, I can't charge anything. So yeah, not even living in the 20th century, let alone the 21st, Becky.
Yeah, so when you've got so much going on, you've got timing screens and stuff, you need, like Reeve said last year, Starship Enterprise screens everywhere just to be able to keep up with what's going on. So I'll try to follow anything that's happening on YouTube comments whenever I'm here. But we're just about to get underway with the sprint race.
Yeah, it's Gabe Norse trying to line up and ready to go for a hat-trick and say, there you go, Jack Smith. I can do the same. We'll see whether he can do it. Jack's going to have a go. He's trying to slice through the second and fourth place cars to go up, or second and third place cars, I should say, to go up into P2. Lee Pearcey having a good start and trying to go up the inside as well. There is lots of contact showing on the timing screen, so plenty of work for Messrs Danaher and Hayden to have a look at. But Gabe Norse is sprinting away with Ollie Atkins in P2. Jack Smith is next up from Andy Carroll in fourth. Then Scott Bugner has worked his way through into fifth place from Chris Blakey. Then Lee Pearcey now appears in seventh from Andy Dorman. Kieran Haynes ninth. So Kieran's lost a place on the start, but will come back, and that is Lee Pearcey, who gets, I think, contacted, spins around quite violently there. That says to me that was a fair bit of contact on Lee. That's a shame for Lee. And Jack Smith's off. Jack Smith's evening goes from bad to worse. Started fourth, so a good point. So Scott Bugner is tagged as well and goes off. And, you know, we've got the fastest, best scoring drivers at the front and just as much contact that we used to get on the total reverse grid races. I wasn't party to the driver briefing. I think next week, if it's early enough, I will definitely sit in on that and read through the notes, because it is going to be interesting, particularly for the hour-long race with top 15. It is still reversed next week, so we've got potential for that to happen. Arguably, more time for everybody to come back, as Jack Dickerson has a moment as well, perhaps on cold tyres. I don't know if there was contact involved there, but Dickerson loses out. It's Gabe Norse from Ollie Atkins. So our race 1 and 2 winner from the man who was on the podium in third place last time, Andy Carroll in the McLaren is third, Chris Blakey fourth, and I'm guessing the drivers, Becky, will want to get to that sort of mid-race calm down bit, and that will come sooner in this one because it is a shorter event.
Or will it come at all? It seems like the dynamics completely change with the sprint race. Everybody seems to pace themselves a little bit more with the kind of longer endurance style races, but a sprint comes and it is literally all guns blazing. Not too sure, obviously, again, speculation here. Jack Smith disconnected from the server quite quickly after that, so whether there was a connection issue that's caused him to obviously go off, we'll have to probably find that out next week. Or if he manages to pop back in and let us know what happened there, or if it was a case of, definitely not his night tonight, so he's just thought, you know what, I'm going to turn it off before I break the sim, because that is always something that I feel like doing sometimes when it doesn't go my way, and I'm like, okay, we'll walk away before we cause a lot of damage. As much as you don't get the damage in terms of the actual physical cars and the repairs you have to pay for, it's quite expensive if you start throwing stuff about off the sim.
I was going to say that. Yeah, sorry, Beck. I was just going to say it's probably going to be one of Jack's drop scores anyway, but he was fourth top scorer after the two heats, if you want to call them that, or the first two races. So he wasn't scoring that badly. So yeah, maybe he's hopped off to the cavern.
Yes, I wouldn't blame him. Yeah, I would not blame him, but it definitely seemed. I was going to say he's probably feeling more confident with starting up at the top, but again, not too sure what caused the off for him. So whether it was a collision or a connection issue or something, and we'll have to find that out later. But yeah, he definitely was probably thinking, right, P4, that's probably a nicer place to start, less sort of people around to kind of get through, and it still didn't quite work out. So unfortunate there. But Andy Carroll again looking strong this evening, battling with Ollie. So we'll be trying to close and try to get past him, but he's got Kieran Haynes that will close in soon enough. I reckon, because like we've said before, Ollie and Kieran both showing some really good pace this evening in those Beamers.
They're running really well, aren't they? And just going back to contact, I know Rich Hayden won't want me to be dwelling on contact, but you know, this is a sim championship. We are going to get some. We've got some drivers that have a lot of experience in sim racing and real world racing, and we've got a lot of newcomers as well. There are penalties. They do get dished out. I know a lot of drivers, you know, very often will disagree. Excuse me, with the decisions, but on the whole, everybody takes it in the right spirit. And you know, for a lot of people, even people that are racing other things and that have been doing this a while, probably need to treat it as a learning opportunity. So disappointing for Jack, disappointing for Gabe when he's been involved in contact, and disappointing for anyone who loses positions, maybe as well as points. But whatever happens, guys, stick with it. That's what Andy Dorman is doing at the moment in 6th place, chasing down Chris Blakey. But it's Norse, Atkins, Carroll. Are we going to see a Norse, Atkins, Haynes podium as Becky predicted? Probably very soon. But they've only got 9 minutes left of this one, so already a third of the way through the race. And what is it? You don't get a hat-trick in VRRC racing for many a long time, and then 2 of them turn up at once, provisionally, with Gabe Norse away and down the road. Ollie Atkins still keeping within arm's reach of him. Andy Carroll doing a good job in 3rd. I'll be honest with you, at the moment, I've got absolutely no clue who I would pick as driver of the round, other than saying if Gabe Norse gets a hat-trick. We didn't give it to Jack Smith last week, but you know, Gabe has been perhaps worthy of that. We need to get into a little bit of discussion about that. So I know Steve will have some thoughts, Becky, you will too, and maybe if Reeve and Jack are watching, they might want to ping in on the Discord channel as well. Sam Walton running well, trying to close down on Christian Gillian. Mason Turner in behind him, looking to keep it keen. And is that Rich Hayden behind him? Because Lee Pearce is down in 17th, so Rich Hayden's come through well.
Yeah, he's got probably a lot to make up for after that disappointing second race as Rich. So see if he can get into the top 10, get some good points under his belt. But yeah, difficult one with the driver of the round. Definitely, if there's anybody about wants to pop some ideas our way, or even on the YouTube chat, we'd love to hear them, because yeah, there's been quite a few drivers this evening that have stood out for myself anyway. And some good performances. Obviously, Andy Carroll got it last week, so but he's again put in some good performances. Chris Blakey, now he's not doing his drifting championship, is again it's been up there as well. I'm still rallying for a rally or a drifting championship, because I just think that would be quite a lot of fun. Get it out their system, and then maybe we'll get less of it in here. And then going back to the hat trick, like you say, incredible performance. But I wonder if we're then going to get a hat trick of the hat tricks.
Oh, next time, yeah, that's a point. Is it? Mind you, there's no hat trick next week, is there?
Well, week after that, we'll skip next week. That one doesn't count.
Yeah, it might be. I was thinking in terms of drop scores as well, whilst things calm down a bit. By the way, as you probably saw, we've got Kieran Haynes now in 3rd place ahead of Andy Carroll. The drop scores, it's 2 events in this one rather than 1, so it's effectively like a quarter of the championship that you can drop. It does give people the leeway to getting into the time of year when you might want to go off on holiday or something like that. As Sam Walton manages to get up into 8th place ahead of Christian Gillig. Sam's had a decent evening as well, and he's got Mason Turner down behind him. Rich Hayden coming back, and Rich Hayden absolutely flying here. This is a little bit of determination from Rich after that disappointment in the previous race. I don't think we're going to get him on the podium. I know we normally have a natter with Rich before we all sign off for the evening, and that would be good to do. Where was I going on about drop scores? Yeah, very nearly a quarter, which facilitates holidays as well as business trips and everything else. And I'm wondering if that's what Jack Smith's thoughts were as he signed off. Jack's not overly... he wants to win championships, but you know, when he's working and everything else, as we heard last week with his trip over, I can't remember where he came from. Was it... I thought it was Alton Park or something, but he had to go, was it Donington to Croft? I think he had to do, or thereabouts, to get in for that final round, but couldn't quite do it. Anyway, I'm going totally off at a tangent. Let's get back to what's going on track, which is Kieran Haynes closing down on his teammate again, Ollie Atkins, and Kieran Haynes looking for a double hit. What would Kieran Haynes' evening have been like if he'd have managed to have the full race in race 1?
Yeah, the what ifs, and it looks like he's obviously got wanting to obviously get Ollie again. He's obviously secured that 2nd place last time out anyway, so he's thinking, right, I'll do the same. But it's kind of teammate will be thinking, right, I've had that for so long in the last race. Let me have it this time round, please. But again, both of these two, I'd say these are definitely, as we've probably already said, up there for the driver of the round. Again, recovering drives from Ollie, and then Kieran starting a little bit later on in the evening, but going from the back of the grid all the way up to a podium. Yeah, some great performances from them. So I'm really looking forward to see how they get on with the 60-minute race next week as well. I'm not wishing this one away just yet, but with the pace they're showing, obviously got their setups feeling good in the car. It could be a really interesting, well, it's going to be a really interesting one next week with the new factors of pit stops and the endurance side of things thrown into it as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see how that pans out, and also get Jack James' view on it on a circuit that he knows really well. So yeah, excited to be seeing how that goes. Kieran Haynes though in P2, Ollie Atkins in third. Been a good evening from the pair of those, I've got to say. Also from Andy Carroll, and to be fair, any one of the top four you could pick as driver of the round, really. Zach Hancock's is having a good race here as well. He's up into, again, great to see new drivers coming up into the top 10. So Zach Hancock's in 9th place, you know, and this is in the one where he hasn't had the best of first two races, so he's really worked hard in this one and got up to 9th. So super stuff from him so far.
Yeah, definitely a good performance, because again, these races are based off, also the last race, sorry, is based off obviously how they've done throughout the evening. So I'll have to have a check back to see actually where we finished in the early races, but yeah, good to see him up in the top 10 and battling away. He's got Mason Turner not far behind him, so probably mounting a challenge soon and giving him something to think about just a little bit more.
Yeah, he will. Mason, we know, is a keen runner, another one of the Swift Cooper boys. They've got a very good, not heading towards a monopoly, but a good strong presence is what we're looking to say on track, and they're very, very welcome indeed. As we look at Mason trying to close down. There's Zach, first proper look at him in this one as well. Don't know if he's got the same livery on his Mazda. As I say, I'm not working on the Mazda Championships this year, but VRRC effectively run 3. They run the Super Cup for the Mark 3s, and then 2 versions of the Mark 1 Championship, which is the main championship, which runs over 3 races per weekend, and then the Clubman's Championship, which Zach is racing in, which is 2. And to be fair, there's actually a lot of drivers that run in the Club Championship that are there not because they're newcomers, because many of them aren't, but basically because it's a slightly lesser budget, and that championship does fit their financial agenda. So it's not a newcomers championship. So to be doing well in it, you have to be very good, because there are some seasoned pilots, lots of, I think, driving instructors that we know. Jordan Pimley, I don't know if Jordan's leading it. He was after the first round, but Jordan's a great guy if you ever get to catch up with him at the circuit. But anyway, lovely to see Zach Hancock's there. First car immediately ahead of the 21, up in the top 10. And I think starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm with this racing, which is lovely to see, and long may that continue. And let's hope that he can bag a first top 10 and start working his way towards an outright podium. There is Mason Turner in 10th position. Rich Hayden's luck has dropped away again, isn't it? If you look at the timing tower, he's down in 17th. We have lost a fair few drivers in this one. Sam Gumbley, therefore, 11th now from Jack Dickerson. Lee Pearcey's had a rotten night too. John Jones had a good go in race 2, and he's next up, but Gabe North's now 5 seconds clear, and it looks like Andy Carroll is starting to close in. Director Steve rightly noticed that one before I did, and he's watching the McLaren start to close in on the third of the BMWs. And again, Andy Carroll here is going to be top non-Beamer by the look of it. The question is he going to be 4th place where he's at the moment, or possibly that 3rd step on the podium? We've only got 1 minute 43 remaining, and he's running out of time to get that step on the podium.
Yeah, and he's pushing, thinking, yeah, like you say, time's running out. Now's the time to make that move, as Ollie's obviously dropped off the back of Kieran Haynes a bit. So yeah, not quite being pulled along as much by the toe. So yeah, probably feeling a little bit vulnerable with Andy fast approaching. But he knows he's just gotta defend for maybe another lap as we're coming up to the start finish line. So as long as Gabe doesn't put in an absolute flyer and then go for another one, and everybody's thinking, right, it's time to end, and probably again starts relaxing a bit, thinking, oh, I've only got a few more corners to go, until Gabe gets to the finish line and starts another lap. So we'll see if he does the same thing this time round. Again, makes that a trend of tonight. But yeah, Andy looking like he's trying to work out where he's going to go with this. Don't know if he's quite, like I said, Ollie has had incredible pace this evening, so I don't know if Andy's quite got the momentum out of some of these corners, especially like this straight here, again inverted commas there. They just seem, the BMWs just seem to have more pull out of them, but Andy does seem to close a little bit. But we'll see where he ends up, and if he can mount an attack. And we've only got 20 seconds left, and I'm not actually too sure where Gabe is on the track. So we'll probably be finishing on this lap, I'd imagine, unless he's literally coming around the last sort of corner, which I don't think he is. So yeah, we'll be finishing up shortly. So Andy's thinking, right, okay, where can I make these moves happen? See if he goes for a lunge as he comes up to this left-hander. Way too off the back, yeah.
Yeah, Steve will have his eye on the timing for sure, and over time anyway. But it is Gabe Norse who is there and ready for his hat trick. As I say, we probably should have. Well, we did think about Jack Smith for driver of the round last week with his hat trick, but Gabe has just responded to that. And in a championship, any racing, real world championship, virtual or otherwise, but particularly in the real world, you like to see a driver, if they have a round where someone comes in and does something exceptional like Jack Smith did last week, you want to see another driver come back. You want to see a rival respond to that, and that's exactly what Gabe Norse has done this week. So in some respects, this sort of comeback, is maybe a little bit better than what Jack did last week, because he could have let it get in his head, but he didn't, and there's the proof. He gets the win. So Kieran Haynes is going to get the fastest lap by the look of it. Gabe Norse takes the win and is a hat-trick winner. Kieran Haynes gets second position, a stunning recovery to his evening. Andy Carroll is showing us in third place on the timing screen, so not sure.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of either, I don't know if Ollie Atkins had a spin coming out of the last corner, or if there was a little bit of contact. So unfortunately he was facing the wrong way, managed to correct it, but obviously lost a couple of positions from that, so really unlucky there for Ollie.
Yeah, a bit of a shame for him, but a good drive nonetheless. Ollie Atkins comes home in fifth place, just ahead of Scott Bugner. Andy Dorman was fourth, ahead of them. Top three we've covered off. Seventh, Chris Blakey. Eighth, Christian Gillian. Didn't help that I was busy writing things down on notes and looking at timing screens, which is probably wait till the top three go across the line before you do that in future, Richard. Christian Gillian in eighth. Zach Hancock's in ninth. He kept that up. Top 10. First top 10, I think, for Zach Hancock's best previously was 14th in race 3 of event 1. Mason Turner wraps up the top 10 from Lee Piercy. Again, some adversity for Lee in this one, but comes through for 11th from Jack Dixon, John Jones and Rich Hayden in 14th. A depleted field finishing that race, and we'll talk to our top 3 and driver of the round, if not included in that top 3. You'll have to wait and find out after this break.
I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and Helen was always there, supporting me through everything. Today, we're facing a new challenge. Helen has been diagnosed with a terrible disease. Dementia is nothing less than a worldwide epidemic. Formula One moves fast. By contrast, medical research can be painfully slow. We want to bring some of our Formula One technology into the laboratories. Our charity, Race Against Dementia, will help to accelerate the pace of dementia research. Let's beat dementia together.
Welcome back to our virtual podium, and we are going to, as ever, talk to our top 3 in reverse order, and I'll pick up 1 and 3, and hopefully Becky will have a chat with Kieran in P2 a little bit later on. First of all, though, my second chat of the evening with Andy Carroll, and I'd written all the names down wrong, which is why I missed out the Ollie. I had Ollie written down, but I didn't see him disappear. But another podium, mate. So, again, top BMW, and I'm guessing hard work.
Very hard work, yeah. I had a bit of contact with Ollie in that very final corner, which, yeah, I was just going to try and follow him home because I'd run a bit wide through the through Francorchamp, so I didn't.
Are you going to get 5 seconds for that then, or?
Possibly, but yeah. So I was just literally just trying to follow him to the line because I didn't want to gain an advantage from the, and I just don't know whether he got a slide on or anything like that, but I literally just touched the back of him and
yeah.
And I was like, ugh. So yeah, a bit frustrated, feel a bit bad for Ollie. He was lagging a bit earlier in the race, a couple of times where he sort of walked back quite a bit on the track, which, but I don't know if it was another factor or not. But yeah, I kind of settled for 4th, and then all of a sudden, last corner, he was going round. I was like, so, but yeah, he couldn't gather it. Although I was going to wait for him, but he sort of, just once he'd gone. So yeah, a bit. I say for now, I'll take the 3rd. We'll see what the stewards make of it. But yeah, it was I was catching him quite a lot in that last couple of laps, and as I say, just got a little bit because I was in his draft coming through Blanchemont, a little bit of understeer, ran off the track. So as I say, I didn't want to kind of try and put a move on him after doing that, but yeah, I'll take it anyway for now, and we'll see where it goes.
Good stuff. And do you regret the car choice now, seeing all the BMW wins?
No, absolutely not. No, because I think if I was in a BMW, I'd be behind Scott. I'd be behind, some of the other BMW. And this car, I love this car. It just suits my driving style so much. And so I've been 2 rounds now. I've been mixing it up with the leaders, apart from Gabe, obviously. But so it's definitely for me the right car choice.
I love the fact that you keep popping it on the podium, and then a lot of people are going to be looking at it and thinking, you know what, we could have done that as well. So it's a great advert for the other cars, and will make people think when the next version of this championship or next similar idea comes along that there is mileage to be had out of going a different route. So that's good. Are you on for next week? What's the tactics next week for Nurburgring? It's obviously an hour-long race. Does that mean a different sort of prep, Andy? Or
I think it's just you've just got to figure out, can you make the first of all, you got to figure out how quick the pit stop happens and whether the fuel takes longer than the tires or vice versa. And then once you know that, kind of decide, can you make it on just a splash and dash? Can you even? I think when I did some test runs, it was very, very tight. You could almost get to the hour mark, but not quite on the fuel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of hopefully the tires should be okay for the hour, but obviously, if they're quick to change, you change them anyway. But yeah, it's just gonna be a bit of testing to figure out just how far you can get on the fuel.
Hayden and Dorman are already on track at Nurburgring, so
yes.
When do you start? Do you start straight away, or do you sort of we'll leave it now? Have you got work overnight or anything? Or?
Mate, I might try and get on tomorrow. Otherwise, Thursday, Friday, probably try and get some laps in.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But,
well, very good. Well, great to have an opportunity to talk to you twice on the podium. 2 podiums, so flying the flag for that wonder. It's my favourite car, by the way, still, after last week. I still look for that.
And congrats
I wouldn't get to see it as much without you being at the front, so well done.
Congrats to Kieran and Gabe, because they were both rapid this week.
Nice one, Andy. Thanks ever so much, mate. Look forward to talking to you next week, hopefully, as well.
Cheers, Rich.
Andy Carroll takes the position, and over to Becky with P2.
Yeah, so in P2 we've got Kieran Haynes, who I've gotta say, I'm gutted we didn't see you in that first race, because I reckon that would have been another strong performance. How was that sprint for you?
Yeah, and that sprint was that was a good. I thought I was P8, but not as P14, which made it a lot harder. But I still come out with a P2. I just got the fastest lap at the end with a 2-minute odd, I think. I'm not sure what the lap time was, but I think it was like a tenth or two quicker than the fastest. So yeah.
Lovely. So yeah, definitely what could have been, and actually you saying you started a little bit further back in that race than you thought, but it doesn't seem to phase you too much with starting. I'm sure you started right at the back of the second race as well. So yeah, good overtakes, getting through the pack nicely and cleanly as well, which is always a bonus. But yeah, how are you looking forward to the 60-minute race? Are you looking forward to plenty more overtakes for that one?
Yeah, I mean, the Nurburgring is next, which is a very good track to overtake on. But hoping to actually do the full races next time, not hope my PC turns off. So yeah.
Yeah, probably not great if it goes off in the middle of that race. So yeah, fingers crossed everything stays all right for you, and yeah, you get the full 60 minutes, because yeah, it'll be good to see how the pace is doing, how the performance is doing. Any changes you're going to make? Are you going to make any tweaks? Are you feeling quite confident with that and happy with the track as well?
Any tweaks? Any tweaks? Probably not. Just because I like this, how I built it, and it just suits my driving style. So yeah. And I'm looking forward towards the next race.
Lovely. It's definitely a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, congratulations on P2, and yeah, definitely you were up there for the decision with driver of the round as well, with the battling you were having alongside your teammate Ollie as well, but just probably hip to the post just a little bit there. But congratulations on P2 for both races that you managed to take part in, and yeah, it was kind of what could have been with the first race that you missed out on. But again, congratulations, and look forward to seeing your performances next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Becky. Well done, Kieran. Good stuff. As I say, it was actually a split decision on driver of the round, but driver of the round goes to this man, Gabe Norse. Very well done, Gabe. To do what you've done, I mean, I'd not seen a VRRC hat-trick to my knowledge until last week when Jack did it, and then for a driver to come back at that and do the same. Incredible stuff. So well done, and we'd say well done on the 3 wins and driver of the round as well.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, the last race went just as well as the other ones, and I was just able to pull away from the pack behind me. So yeah, that was good, and yeah, it's quite nice to come away with driver of the round as well.
You know, I think, to be honest, we've seen everything from you this evening, because we saw you, battling your way through in races 1 and 2. You had, contact in race 1. You dropped back. You fought back. You haven't had to do too much defending because you've had that pace. But when you did have to defend, you did on a couple of occasions. So we've seen the whole lot from you. So it was, I say, it was difficult. Kieran drove well too. He's developing as a driver, which is superb. But yeah, so. Yeah, just very, very well done. I'm going to echo Becky's questions, actually, which she said to Kieran. Obviously, we're moving forward now into the one race event at Nurburgring, and what's the difference in approach for that in terms of your preparation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more kind of trying to be just extremely consistent with just my lines and stuff, to try and not use as much of the tyres as I can. But yeah, it's definitely different in the way that you have to prepare for it, because with this round that we've just had, you also have to factor in both a 30-minute race and a 15-minute race, which do require some kind of different ways of driving. So yeah, it's going to be interesting with the 60-minute. Just kind of hope that it goes as well as these races have.
It's certainly been very enjoyable to watch this evening, and as I say, absolutely unreal that we've had 2 hat-tricks on the bounce from different drivers, which is great. I think for VRRC it's absolutely superb. So congratulations on those wins, which have earned you driver of the round. I don't know if you ever have any thank yous or anything to do. Obviously, you've got Sim Demon on the side of the car, but anyone you want to say hello or cheers to?
I think, like I usually say, like just anyone who's watching this because of me. My parents, my grandparents, and yeah, I mean, I've had a bit of a cold the last 2 days, which hasn't been great, but my parents have dealt with me during that.
Well, I hope you shake it off, mate, and if that's the form when you still got it, then I think the others are going to be quaking in their racing boots next week. So, but you're absolutely right. Family means a heck of a lot, doesn't it, when they're supporting you, which is great. So thanks to your family for their support. Well done again, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. Very well done. Gabe Norse, our driver of the round, possibly new championship leader as well. I think we might have some championship points coming up in a moment as well. Kieran Haynes, P2, double podium for him. A double podium for Andy Carroll as well. Just the one podium for Jack Smith, who is already on track and practicing at the Nurburgring. He is keen to bounce back. What's it done to the table? You can see with your own eyes here. 2 points now between Jack Smith and Gabe Norse. We haven't seen them necessarily going wheel to wheel all the time through all the races, but what we are seeing is round by round, the pair of them jockeying for points. And it's still only a relatively modest lead over the ailing Ollie Gibson. Ollie, hope you get well soon as well. He's in third place from Andy Carroll, who's very much in the mix as well. Andy Carroll just 3 points behind Oliver Gibson. And then a further 7 back, Kieran Haynes, another 1 point back to Ollie. It's all very, very close, Becky. How good is this as we head towards the halfway point of the campaign?
Yeah, this is great, and it goes to show how close the racing is, how close the cars are set up to be, so it's fair across the board. So it just makes it even more interesting and intriguing for all of us. Obviously, us commentating, but everybody at home as well. It's giving some great battles. I'm looking forward to all the overtakes next week, and we've got the potential of obviously having to deal with lapped cars and things like that as well, with having a longer sort of stint. Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, and I was definitely one to be like, right, actually, okay, I can't do that one because we've got special guests coming in, but I've already jumped at the offer to be able to do the last one as well, because I think that's going to throw quite a few different things into the mix. So yeah, I'll be catching up with that one as soon as I can. Try not to spoil it for myself. Normally I try to join in at the end to catch the end, but I'll be probably saving it all so I could start it from the beginning and not miss a moment of it.
Very good. Well, we look forward to your company again. Thanks for your work. Absolutely brilliant, Becky. Doing a super job. And lovely to catch up with you at the weekend as well. So this is your team for today. You saw us on the way in. You get to look at us on the way out again, you poor viewers. So from myself and Becky, and on behalf of Ian and Steve, thanks for watching. Thanks, Ian and Steve, for your work. Steve, cracking direction once again, as ever. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you all same time in 7 days' time. Bye for now.